Can I make something good out of this? Can I make something good out of this? Chances are you will not be missed, 'cause you don't give a shit. Can I make something good out of this? You could be late, you could be true, you could be underneath my shoe. Sometimes you're the only one who's strong, then I'll be devastated if I'm wrong. I am the one you love to hate, but you cannot devastate. It will be interesting, I'm sure, 'cause I want more. Can I make something good out of this? Can I pretend that something is missing? Chances are you will not be missed, 'cause you don't give a shit. Can I make something good out of this? You will be late, you could be too, you could be underneath my shoe. Sometimes you're the only one who's strong, and I'll be devastated if I'm wrong. I am the one you love to hate, but you cannot devastate. It will be interesting, I'm sure, but I want more. is what I think. I will drown in pink. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yo, 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 let's go. What's up? Oh, 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 oh. Ooh, oh, 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 oh. Let's go. Paint away day and night, 6 hearts, hope I'm okay. Someone new is pulling everywhere. I'm afraid to let them. Nothing is what I say. I feel far away. Nothing is what I think. I will drown in pink. Yeah, yeah. Let's go. Nothing is what I say. I feel far away. Nothing is what I think. I will drown in pink. Nothing is what I say. I feel far away. Nothing is what I think. Nothing is what I think. Yeah, 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 yeah. 'Cause I will drown in pink. Oh, 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 oh. Let's go. How we doing today? Dude, what day is it? It's Thursday, baby. Hey, I just wanna change the world. I just want the perfect girl. I don't wanna hang around, I'd rather be found. It gets better, I wonder. My pleasure together. Everyone's waiting, anticipating. I will never be alone again. I'm immune to the things they said. My heart's unbreaking. You're radiant truth. I know that you will understand, because I finally found myself. My heart's unbreaking. You're radiant. Let's go. I just want to change the world, but I'm not gonna wait my turn. I don't ever want to come down, I'd rather be found. It gets better, I wonder. My pleasure together. Everyone's waiting, anticipating. Let's go! Here we go! You, I will never be alone again. I'm immune to the things they said. My heart's unbreaking. You're radiant truth. I know that you will understand, because I finally found myself. My heart's unbreaking. You're radiant. You're radiant. Radiant.
Let's go! My world! Yeah, yeah! Woo! I can't pretend. No, 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 no. Oh, I hope this never ends.
It's about you. I would never be alone again. I'm immune to the things they said. My heart's unbreaking. You're radiant truth. I know that you will understand because I finally found myself. My heart's unbreaking. You're radiant. You're radiant.
Let's go. Oh, dude, what a song, bro. God, I love that song. All right, so hold on. Let me find this thing because we're going to do. I found the article that I was looking for. Dude, we got a Thursday night, baby. Here it is. Yes. Okay. So this is the article that I was looking for yesterday. Okay. Was this bad boy? Because yesterday we talked a little bit about Barry Krischer, okay, who was the county DA for Palm Beach, okay? It's Friday night for you. Let's go. All right. So we need to finish up the Krischer story. We started this yesterday, and
The Purple Heart dates back to August 7th, 1782. That's a long time when General
Dude,
George
what the
Washington
hell, bro?
ordered a heart-shaped purple.
Jesus, dude. I hear Donald Trump's voice and it just kills me, bro. He's such a fucking loser. But so anyway, dude, Willem, let's go, baby. Dude, I will do my thing. And thank you to all you guys that are in EU and Australia and shit. Friday morning in NYC. Let's go. My son's going to be living in NYC soon. And so what I want to share with you here is I want to finish up the Krischer story. Okay? Because we talked about Barry Krischer. Okay? We talked about Barry Krischer yesterday. And again, this guy is one of the central pieces of the case. Okay? I know, dude, Creamy, you're not wrong. There are so many people involved with this thing that are compromised and or like, you know, I don't know, just the behavior of like a lot of these people doesn't make any immediate sense. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of variables here that are pretty fucking outrageous. Now, this was the article I was looking for yesterday, which goes into the Krischer thing and is, I think is really important because one of the things about the Krischer situation. Okay. We all know about Alex Acosta. He's the guy who essentially fell on the sword, took the rap for this thing. But the thing that I really want to illustrate here is how there was a three-way game that was being played when this originally happened. Now you roll back, we have victims like Maria Farmer who called the police all the way back. She called the FBI in 96. Okay, she called them again in 2006, which is around the time this was taking place. Now, here's where it gets insane though, because you have the Palm Beach police who did this insane investigation. And then you had the county DA's office, that's Krischer. And then you had the federal 53-page indictment and Alex Acosta. But the way this played out, guys, and the way Krischer specifically sank this case is really unfucking believable. Okay. And this is the best article. Okay. We had pieces of it, but this article does a good job of laying it out on a timeline. And so we're going to read this because it's going to be really important to inform the video that I'm going to make. I also have some footage of his apartment, or I mean his Palm Beach mansion, that I want to take a look at. I don't know if we'll get to that tonight. We'll probably look at that tomorrow because I want to pre-watch it because I want to make sure there's not any nudity in there. He had some like naked photographs on the walls and stuff. And so I want to like tear some of that out because you really getting a look at his Palm Beach mansion in particular. It was pretty gaudy, but it's pretty wild. I also did, I did receive my copy of Sarah Ransom's book, right? She's one of the victims. You may remember this photograph from one of my other videos when we talked about Sarah Kellen. We showed some photos of the young girls that were actually at the island, right? One of the pictures in particular, I used it in a thumbnail. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on, give me a sec here. Was this photo. This photo right here. And this is Sarah Ransom. Okay. She was one of the girls from the island. It's unusual with her. She was older. She was 22 and she was in New York to be a model. And she was in the midst of this. Dude, let's go. Solange, let's go, baby. Appreciate you, boss. Thank you. But anyway, so her book is I think going to be really integral, and I have not read her book yet, so I'm excited to read that. But yeah, dude, she was older than most of the victims, and also though was definitely abused. And this woman right here, I believe, is one of the Russian girls that was on that list. She was one of the Russian girls who was on the immunity list. But yeah, dude, this thing is so entangled. And now I don't know if you guys saw today, but today there was definitely a big headline because Virginia Giuffre's family spoke up about Trump calling this a hoax, right? And so we know that Trump's plan is to have Ghislaine Maxwell absolve him, right? He wants her to testify. Oh, Trump did nothing. Trump was perfect. He wants to give her a pardon. But I'll be honest, guys. I think we might hit a point where a whole bunch of victims come forward and start putting their foot down because they know that A, there's significant portions of the government right now who are willing to fight for the release of these things. And B, like Donald Trump walking around saying it's a hoax is about the most disrespectful thing. I mean, can you imagine if you were one of the women abused by Epstein and these guys or their family, and you see the fucking president of the United States, you see the president of the United States like trying to absolve himself from this by saying it's a hoax. Like, bro, you know, I mean, these people are not reacting well, you know, these like they're, I don't know. I just feel like it's going to really embolden them to step up. You know what I'm saying? Dude. Yeah, it's fucking bullshit, bro. Yeah, he said it's bullshit. He said it's a hoax. And I mean, Virginia Giuffre's family already spoke up about this. Dude, we will. Let's go, baby. Let's go. We're gonna keep going though. Dude, this is not losing steam. But anyway, let's get through this article. Okay? I need the information in this article for the video I'm making right now. And then later, either tomorrow or this weekend, we are going to start looking at all the people who have died, guys. The death list around this case is pretty wild. You know what I'm saying? And well, you know what, Layla? You know, you can do something. I think we all can do something, which is by not letting it go, right? Keep sharing the content online. Keep engaging with the content. Keep putting this stuff out there and keep, you know, after your elected representatives to make sure that they follow this up, right? Yeah, I mean, Sue, you know, it's funny when you say, imagine your abuser featured on TV every day. Absolutely. And that goes beyond even the Epstein case, because let me just tell you, everybody knowing that Trump is like a serial sexual assaulter, we know this. You know, there may not be convictions, but everybody knows that Trump is a serial rapist, okay? He's had a long history of this. He told us in his own words that consent is not for him. But merely having a rapist be the president is like super triggering for millions of women worldwide, tens of millions. You know, having a rapist and just hearing the voice and knowing that that rapist is the most powerful person in the world is so triggering. It's just crazy. And so there was something that went on. Let me just share this before we get into this, because there was something that went on with a commenter who watched the man-keeping video. Okay, there was a man-keeping video where I talked a lot about manhood and problems with manhood and shit like that. And there was somebody who got in the comments and said, like, he tried to not all men me, is what he did. He tried to like not all men, and he called me irresponsible for focusing on men, you know, needing to be better and men having issues and shit. And I don't respond to comments like that, but I responded to this guy and I told him, first off, don't not all men me. And secondly, like, you know, I talked about manhood specifically in there, and there is nothing wrong with men acknowledging that we all need to do better. Okay. I mean, there's literally a fucking rapist for president. Our country voted for a serial sexual abuser to be the fucking president. We have young people that are worshiping serial sexual abusers, Donald Trump and Andrew Tate. Like, we have incel manosphere culture gone wild on the internet. Like, we literally have a massive problem with manhood in this fucking country, in this world. And we men need to step up. And we need to, like, not get all, like, oh, you know, personally rattled by the fact that it's time for men to step up. We've had thousands of years, okay, to fuck around and victimize people. And I think now it's time that we take responsibility for the situation that this world that mostly men have created, you know what I mean? And start fixing this shit. Okay. So don't not all men me. Okay. Because it's not about all men being bad. It's about the concept of manhood being faulty and out of control. And men are not stepping up to manhandle this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like time for us to step up. And what I did say to this commenter is I told him, I said, you should ask yourself, okay? You should ask yourself about why it's so triggering for you when people challenge manhood and they challenge men to be better. Why does that bother you so much? Like if the idea that like men need to do better and it's our responsibility to really like step up and fix manhood, if that gets you triggered and shit and gets you all fucked up, like I think it's important that you look at that. You see what's going on, that you have to say like not all men. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's something going on, you know? You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is I don't find like looking at core situations and acknowledging them, I don't think that needs to be dismissive, you know? I think this idea that you can't be critical of men and while simultaneously improving them is kind of ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? And I know it's hard though. It's hard. It is there, you know, it is hard to, you know, sometimes take responsibility without lumping on, you know, self-shame and judgment and all that, you know, but like, I don't know, man. I've, you know, I've had a long line of watching a lot of toxic behavior emanate from the concept of manhood, going back to, you know, an authoritarian, abusive father who was super controlling and super abusive to the women in his life. You know what I mean? And that's not an exception. You know what I'm saying? That's not an exception. There's like domestic violence is a rampant problem. Sexual abuse is a rampant problem. And you know, I feel like we men can do a lot to change the climate of what manhood is about, you know? And it really starts with us hanging out with our friends, okay? That's where it starts, guys, because part of this sort of toxic manhood is it exacerbates in groups of men where even normally quiet and reserved and, you know, whatever, respectful men, they get in a group of men and all of a sudden they start performing as like abusers to win the fucking, you know, the adoration of other men. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just really crazy. You know what I mean? And you're about to tune out. Dude, you can go ahead and tune out. There you go. I'll just hide you from the chat because I don't need to hear that you're going to tune out, boss. Okay? I just tuned you out. So now we don't have to hear you. If you're about to tune out, you don't need to tell me. All right? I'm not your fucking mommy. You don't have to tell me, oh, I'm ready to tune out. Oh, bye-bye. Right? You know what I'm saying? Dude, the thing about it is I just don't think you're a real man if you can't like look at manhood in the same framework that you look at the rest of the world, right? Because men have no problem looking at women and looking at what they think should be fixed or looking at their bosses or jobs or the government or the political world. Like we literally carry a toolbox around and we look at everything in the whole world firmly, our opinion, oh, I'll tell you how to fix this. But the minute somebody says, hey guys, apply that same resolve and gumption towards fixing men. And the guys are like, oh, don't say that men are bad, right? It's like, dude, come on. That's clownery. You know what I mean? If we can't like, you know, take a look at ourselves, then how tough are we really? You know? Dude, let's go. Oh shit, baby. Dude, let's go. Oh, go. Go. Let's go, baby. Dude, it's jackassery. That's a good word for it. Let's go. Oh, shit. Yeah. So Grant, you're right, dude. You're right. Holding other men accountable. That's really all it is, guys. When you think about it, I mean, I think it's just real simple. It is about holding men accountable. It's about, you know, like, and I think specifically, I think for us men, it calling out misogyny when we see it, right? And not like around women. Okay, it's not like when you're with a woman and you're around guys and you're defending your women. It's about when you're in a group of guys. Okay, when you're in a group of guys and it's just you and the guys and there's misogyny being kicked around like a soccer ball. It's about voicing up and saying, guys, like, we're being misogynist right now. We can do better than this. Like think about, you know what I'm saying? Think about, like, if you have a daughter, or if you have a wife, do you want other guys to be like engaging around them the way we are right now? You know, it's about calling out misogyny, calling out that homophobia, because a lot of that stuff is just, we were taught, okay, to like puff up for each other doing that. You know what I'm saying? You know? And it's just, it's really not, I don't think it's that hard to do. Okay, I know it's like scary and risky, you know, because believe me, I do this role and it's had me fall out of favor with some guys because some guys don't want to face this shit. And that's really the problem, is there's a lot of guys out there that don't want to do this work. Okay, they feel like when they get together with other men and they're super misogynist, they want that outlet. They want that outlet of like being able to get together and you know, like express negativity and sexual objectification towards women with each other. And they think because there's no women around and they're doing it privately and they're not aiming it at a specific person, they think it's okay. They think it's okay, right? And it's not, okay? It's not. It's like, it's something that, it's like thousands of examples of that, you know, happening all over the world all the time are what sort of keep this fucking general energy going, you know? You know what I'm saying? And I mean, we can have other outlets, you know what I'm saying? You know, like, you know, when you think about it, you know, if you're in a relationship with a woman, you have a wife or a girlfriend, that's a place where you can explore, like, you know, objectifying each other in a safe space. You know what I'm saying? But we don't need to do it as like a knee-jerk reaction to appear cool for the boys. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's, what's interesting about it is I don't think it's really this thing of like men being these bad, hateful creatures. I think we've literally just been conditioned to engage that way. It starts in middle school, okay? And then, yes, there are people like Rogan and Trump and the manosphere guys that say, like, that's the way to be men. I mean, dude, it used to be all over television, okay? Like, I remember going back watching, like, one of my favorite TV shows, guys, when I was younger, was Married with Children, okay? Married with Children. I had a big crush on Christina Applegate. Fucking, what's his name? Ed, fucking the guy who played Al Bundy, was amazing. It was a well-written show, but dude, that show was misogynist as fuck. Yeah, Ed O'Neill, right? But that show was so fucking misogynist. It literally took every sort of negative messaging about the hierarchical role of women, you know, And then it tried to sort of like fight back by the woman being real snippy, and it sort of couched it in like each making fun of each other, you know, the woman making fun of the man and the man making fun of the woman. But the problem, guys, is that we have a 6,000-year history of the oppression of women. And we have thousands of years of history of the oppression of some of these groups. And so we got to reverse the oppression, right? And reversing the oppression, you know, I mean, when you think about it, guys, I know this is crazy because we're about to go into this Epstein thing. But part of the reason why Epstein is staying hidden, and part of the reason why many of the men who victimize these women are never going to come to justice, is because of the thousands of years of us, when we're alone in groups, being douchebags about women, right? That's what that's what it is. The two are connected. Okay, if you go out with your guy friends and start talking shit about the waitress's ass and start like denigrating women as you puff up in front of each other, that's the very behaviors that have gone on for so long that make this shit like just completely get swept under the rug. And I mean, we don't see the relationship, I think, sometimes to the climate we set up. You know? And there's been a real influx of it. Like, I don't know what it is. I feel like it you know, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it's gotten sort of significantly stronger. Obviously, you know, Trump defeating a woman, and then, you know, his attitude towards women is problematic, to say the least, right? But yeah, man, I believe we can do better. It is complex. It is ingrained. And I think, though, it's separate from who we are as people, guys. I think it is separate from who we are as people. And I think, you know what else it is, guys? I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say it has to do with our mothers, guys, okay? Because a lot of us, we grow up and we have a long list of resentments or issues we have with mommy, like ways that we kind of hate our moms or are resentful toward our moms. And especially if you're like a mama's boy and you're real close to your mom, you can never express that shit to her. So you bury it. And if you don't get help for it and shit, that those resentments we have against our own mother sort of stew around in us as ancillary misogyny that then gets taken out on women we date or women we objectify or what have you. You know, it's like, it's like pretty, you know, it's pretty crazy, dude. It's like, you know, I mean, it's a very real thing, dude. You're talking about serial killers? Dude, serial killers. All right, let's go. Dude, you want a cage fight between Trump and Elizabeth Warren? Dude, I want a cage fight between Trump and the Cape Buffalo that killed that millionaire. But yeah, I just don't think, I don't think we ever need to focus on the idea of all men, right? Because you could just say all men are responsible for healing the problems with manhood. Like, manhood has issues. How do we know it has issues? The male loneliness epidemic, incel culture, the manosphere culture, right? The fact that rapists acquire very high positions and they don't get punished. The fact that Andrew Tate and Donald Trump, rapists and traffickers, are popular. Their worldviews appeal. The power they try to sell appeals to young men. Men commit suicide at a pretty high rate. Okay, men feel overwhelmed and beaten down by their jobs and the pressures of being a man. So clearly, manhood is like, we have a lot of struggles, okay? And I feel like all of us struggle with that shit to some degree. I mean, my God, dude, I've had my own struggles. I had to like unwire an abusive father. You know, I had this abusive father, and so I grew up really manipulative and with rage issues. And I had to fucking untangle that shit. Or I could have just grown up and been just like him. And I wasn't perfect. You know, believe me, there's a lot of girlfriends that I had who like experienced my rage or my manipulation before I got sober and shit, you know, and I was trying my best, and I'm not a bad person, but like, you know, I inherited a lot of fucked up shit, and I grew up in a culture that taught me a lot of fucked up shit. And so, yeah, there's my spiel. I'm going to keep talking about this, right? Because I think it's important. And I know it's hard. It's really hard for us men because we're so, like, I'll tell you how I experience it personally is I get told by Jenny or Bryce sometimes, like, my behavior gets challenged. And I'm telling you, a lot of times I don't like to hear it, right? When they tell me like I'm being misogynist, dude, I don't like to hear that, right? Because I'm not a misogynist and I am not a, like, you know what I mean? But like, sometimes I say things that are misogynist, or sometimes I behave in ways that are misogynist, and like, it's just programming, you know? But it's like, I don't like to hear it. The minute I hear it, I'm like, you know, well, let's talk about your faults, you know? Right? Oh, shit. But man, dude, getting better, it is a continuous, endless process. But in particular, though, I think we have to do it behind closed doors. I think we have to do it when we're in groups of men, right? And when we're posturing, you know, because we learn to posture around other men, and we learn to put each other down as a means of being friendly. And I don't think that's good either. I know we do it. And you know, I don't think you need to outlaw it, but I think putting each other down as a means of finding closeness, I think it's part of why we have so many struggles with our self-image, is because we literally have, you know, socialized ourselves to denigrate each other in exchange for, you know, like closeness. And it doesn't really provide closeness. I've never really liked that. You know what I'm saying? I've never really liked that. And, you know, when I hang out with my friends, with my guy friends, like, we don't do that. But my guy friends are like creative people, or they do yoga. You know, they're like, you know, they're not the Dana Whites of this world, you know, but the Dana Whites of this world, I don't know that they're ever going to do this work, guys. They're going to keep slapping their wives, and they're going to keep cheating on their wives, and they're going to keep like harming women and relegating women to like playthings that they can purchase with their money, you know? So we have to like counteract those guys, right? Donald Trump, Dana White, Logan Paul, Jake Paul, those guys are never going to do this work. You know what I mean? You know? But all right, anyway, you ready? That's my spiel. And we're going to talk about that a lot. And I'm sorry if it offends you guys, but we need to hear it. You know what I mean? Dude, the Pauls, yeah, they're crazy. Women also need to lift each other up, quit shaming each other. Yeah, I mean, I can't really, you know, I can't really speak to women, but I know, because I'm not a woman, right? But I know that like women have their own like issues with each other that they're trying to work out and shit too, you know? And I mean, we all do. I just think that, like, you know, this is something we hear around, like, talk about, like, reparations, right? Whenever there's reparations, you know, talk, people get all, like, freaked out because they're like, well, I didn't own slaves, so why would I pay reparations, right? And the thing about this is like, reparations wouldn't fix any problem. You know what I mean? But they're like making a move. They're like making an amend, so to speak, that is a noticeable outlay of energy and a sacrifice of like investing in this thing. And there's a benefit in those types of moves. You know what I mean? And I feel like the misogyny thing is really something we should look at for men thinking about, you know, not monetary reparations, but that like one of the reparations we can make to you know, the anti-patriarchy movement is by beginning to privately hold our fellow men accountable for their behavior and to expect more from each other and to be nicer to each other and to, you know, to deprogram ourselves from this idea that men need to shit on each other and belittle each other in order to get close, because it doesn't work. That's part of the reason why we don't get close, is because we wound each other from little on. We're taught to wound each other until we're like, you know, we have trouble trusting and we're afraid to put our real feelings out there. And, you know what I mean? But anyway, that's my thoughts. All right, now let's get into this, because Barry Krischer, dude, we got to get the rest of this story here. All right, this article is going to cause you chills. Remember, we have a three-headed dragon going down there. We have Jeffrey Epstein right in the center, and then there's the Palm Beach police. There's the county DA's office. That's Barry Krischer. And then there's Alex Acosta, the federal attorney. All right, you ready? How the Epstein saga could have ended years ago. To his first prosecutors, victims were prostitutes. Okay? And West Palm Beach, Florida. All right, ever since Jeffrey Epstein became a pariah for abusing dozens of teenage girls at his Florida mansion, federal prosecutors have been blasted for engineering the deal of the century for the uber wealthy sexual predator. But the twisted saga started and could have ended with the public official who originally handled the case, former Palm Beach County State Attorney Barry Krischer. Okay? Barry Krischer, dude, this guy literally caused so much damage. Okay? The veteran prosecutors set the stage for this international outrage by crippling his own case more than a decade ago, a Palm Beach Post investigation found. Krischer acted as if Epstein's teenage accusers were prostitutes who eagerly sold their bodies to buy clothes at the mall, instead of treating them like high school girls who said they had been sexually assaulted by a man 4 decades their senior. Okay? Krischer decided he didn't believe them, but based on a review of the state attorney's investigative files, no one from Krischer's office ever interviewed the girls or their parents. You hear that? Let me say that again. This guy who took on this case, the county attorney, he never interviewed any of the victims. He never interviewed their parents. The police, investigated this case, Palm Beach police, for years. They had a mountain of evidence. They had several dozen victims. Okay? They had all this stuff. His office never even interviewed them. His lead prosecutor declared more than once that there were no victims in the case, according to documents obtained by the Post. Finally, Krischer found a secret way to sink the case. He took it to a grand jury where only one victim testified. It was the first time a sex crimes case was presented to a grand jury by his office. Now, again, they don't do grand juries for sex crimes cases, okay? Those are normally for murder cases, right? Or corruption cases. But he took the sex crimes case to a grand jury, which you never do, okay? There he is. There's Barry Krischer. There's the guy. This is the dude. That's Barry Krischer, and this is the attorney, 𝗙𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 who tried this case. Okay, here we go. So 13 accounts of Jeffrey Epstein exploiting underage girls. 13 teens gave police nearly identical accounts of how the politically connected financier used his wealth to exploit the girls. Yet the task of convincing jurors that Epstein was a predator fell on the shoulders of one 14-year-old girl. That was the girl who spoke at the grand jury. Krisher's office then undermined its own witness, that 14-year-old girl who had told police she had been fondled by a naked Epstein while she gave him a massage. Sources close to the grand jury proceedings told the Post. Okay, prosecutor 𝗙𝗏𝗡𝗍𝗍 peppered the girl with questions about her social media pages, the girl's MySpace account supplied to prosecutors by Epstein's lawyers, portrayed her drinking liquor with boys and talking about sex. So Epstein's lawyers gave damning information about this girl's MySpace page to the prosecuting attorney, and he used it against his own witness in a grand jury proceeding to sink his case. Unmoved by her testimony, the grand jury came up with one charge of solicitation of prostitution, what a John would face. Okay, how the grand jury came to that conclusion has led the Post to file suit to get a transcript of the secret proceedings. In its action filed last week, the Post argued that in the interest of justice, the public should see how vigorously Krisher's team pursued its case. Now, these files, we read a little bit about them yesterday. They came out, I believe, just a week or so ago. All right, but here, it gets crazier here. Okay, Epstein's secret deal. So 1 month after Epstein was arrested in June 2006, and dismayed by Krisher's failure to charge Epstein with sex crimes, Palm Beach police went to the FBI. So do you see that, guys? The cops investigated this case. They took it to the county attorney, Barry Krischer. Barry Krischer talked to Epstein's lawyers and started sinking his own case. He stopped returning the phone calls of the chief of the police. Okay, he literally ghosted the Palm Beach chief of police. So the police took the case to the FBI and were like, dude, our county attorney is like not even prosecuting this guy. They went to the FBI. The FBI for 2 years investigated this thing. And then 𝗙𝗪𝗪, they had a 53-page indictment with 60 federal counts. And that's when 𝗙𝗪𝗪 gave him immunity, wiped away those charges, and kicked it back to Barry Krischer, who let him off in the first place. And in between, the cops who fucking hunted this guy down and gathered all that evidence, and all the victims, both of them just got fucked, okay? 2 years later, South Florida U.S. Attorney 𝗙𝗪𝗪𝗪 negotiated the much-maligned secret deal that allowed Epstein to avoid federal prison. The agreement hinged on Krisher adding a second charge, soliciting a minor for prostitution. Epstein pled guilty to both state charges. Okay? Krisher has insisted he had nothing to do with the covert pact. But here's where it gets crazy. Because you saw yesterday how Krisher and 𝗙𝗪𝗪𝗪 kind of played the blame game when 𝗙𝗪𝗪𝗪 like fell on the sword. And Krisher this whole time said, I had nothing to do with that federal deal. But he lied. Okay, Krisher has insisted he had nothing to do with the covert pact, but the Post found he played a crucial role as a go-between. Pendulous, let's go, baby. Oh shit, I'm sorry, dude. I thought I had live chat on. There you go. Thank you for the reminder. Thanks for that membership. So the Post found he played a crucial role as a go-between, talking to federal prosecutors and Epstein's defense team on the eve of the agreement. Newly released documents obtained by the Post. So not only was Barry Krisher involved in this, but he was the go-between. He served as an intermediary between Jeffrey Epstein's lawyers and 𝗙𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪, the federal prosecutor, in brokering this immunity deal that got Jeffrey Epstein off on the whole thing. To the scores of Epstein's victims, many of them poor and from troubled homes, the deal was nothing short of a betrayal. By labeling them prostitutes, Krisher confirmed their beliefs that no one cared, right? I never had a chance for my voice to be heard, said Courtney Wild, recruited by Epstein when she attended a nearby middle school. My voice was muted by the same government that was supposed to protect me. Krisher, a Democrat, retired in 2009 after a 16-year run as state attorney in which he was feted by community groups for being a staunch advocate for sexually abused children. Yeah, right. Okay. The 75-year-old remains tight-lipped about his handling of the chaotic case. Neither he nor 𝗏𝗡𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 𝗙𝗪𝗓𝗃. Sorry, I can never say the fucking name right. 𝗙𝗪𝗓𝗃. A prosecutor on Florida's West Coast responded to requests for comment. Krisher's silence may soon end, however. Okay? In August, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis ordered an investigation into how Palm Beach County authorities handled the case. The 66-year-old financier killed himself in Manhattan jail cell 2019 while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. The Florida investigation means Krisher could be forced to finally explain why he didn't vigorously prosecute the man one attorney dubbed the most dangerous sexual predator this country has ever seen. Okay? All right. When it all took a turn, you ready? Here we go, guys. This is where we get into the meat, here's where we get into the meat and potatoes of it, okay? Initially, Krisher and his top prosecutors were outraged by Epstein's behavior. He said, "This is somebody we have to stop," Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Ryder said of the state attorney in a 2009 deposition. But then in late 2005, famed attorney Alan Dershowitz swooped in. So it was Dershowitz, guys. It was Dershowitz. Trump's good buddy, Dershowitz, is the guy who swooped in. Armed with copies of the teens' MySpace pages, the Harvard law professor seeded doubt about the girls' trustworthiness. The girls said on the pages that they drank. They hung out with boys. They said they liked marijuana. Again, none of that makes you, like, rapeable. You know what I'm saying? Krisher thought their posts on social media, a novelty at the time, destroyed the girls' credibility, documents show. But the evidence against Epstein was mounting, said Detective Joseph Recarey, who died last year at age 50. 13 underage girls described nearly identical circumstances right down to Epstein's pink and green couch in which they were molested or sexually assaulted. The number of victims would later grow to more than 40. And it's this couch, guys. It was in his bathroom. Let me show you the photograph. I have a photograph of the actual bathroom itself. Okay, this is Epstein's bathroom here, and he had a couch in the bathroom. Okay, he had this pink and green couch. He had these pictures that were like drawings and shit of naked women. Of course, he's got a phone in every room, and they would set up a massage table in here, and he would like sexually abuse the girls on this couch. And they all were able to describe this. Thank you, Pendulous. Let's go, baby. They were able to describe like the details, right? When they went and like filmed this house and shit, the girls described with excruciating details. You know what I mean? About all this stuff. Okay. And it was insane. So what do we got? You guys fighting about the Bible? Like, what's going on here? Is there somebody fucking like freaking out about the Bible? Right? Hold on here. Christ's return is near? Yeah. All right. Later. Smell you, boss. Yeah. Go fuck yourself, you fucking weirdo. Dude, Christ's return is near. Dude, yeah. I just returned him for you. Let's go. Later. Dude. Smell ya. I'm sorry. When you start with that shit, dude, you're getting the 9 iron, bro. You right? Here we go. You ready? Jesus Christ. Dude, I just launched Christ. I just fucking bogeyed. Right? Got a birdie. A Christian birdie. So, yeah, so they were able to describe the couch, guys, and everything, the inside of this. All right, you ready? In statement after statement, the teens recounted how Epstein used other teens to lure them to his mansion with the promise of earning $200 each for a massage. Recarey also amassed 17 witnesses to bolster Krisher's case. Among them were 8 girls who said Epstein molested them when they were minors because they were over the age of 15 and weren't penetrated. By law, none could be considered victims of a sex crime. Again, this is crazy that we have these laws that prevent, girls from, it's like if he didn't put his penis in them, they couldn't charge him with a sex crime. I mean, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, brutal. As the case wore on, 𝗙𝗫𝗟𝗧 said, Krisher and his prosecutors stopped returning calls. They stopped returning calls to the detective and the police chief. Then 𝗙𝗫𝗟𝗧 learned Krisher had agreed to let Epstein plead guilty to felony aggravated assault and serve no jail time. They were going to plead it out with not even a sex crime. 𝗙𝗫𝗟𝗧, incensed, put together an arrest warrant charging Epstein with 4 counts of unlawful sexual activity with a minor and 1 count of lewd and lascivious molestation. The charges were punishable by a maximum of 30 and 15-year sentences, respectively. Again, his efforts were greeted with silence from Krisher's office. On May 1st, 2006, a frustrated police chief, Ryder, asked Krisher to step down from the case. They actually asked him to step down. I must urge you to examine the unusual course that your office's handling of this matter has taken and consider if good and sufficient reason exists to require your disqualification. Okay? No victims here. All right? Epstein rejected Krisher's deal of no jail time over concerns he would have to register as a sex offender. Okay? So Krisher took the case to a grand jury, which again was unheard of for a sex crime case, something his office only did once the entire time he was there, and it was for Epstein. Witnesses got 2 days' notice. One of the 3 victims called to testify was in Jacksonville, her mother told the process server. Then a college student, she never received the subpoena. One who said she had sex with Epstein didn't show. That left one 14-year-old girl to take down a man who counted future President Donald Trump, former President Bill Clinton, Britain's Prince Andrew, and other powerful men as friends. The girl's MySpace postings took center stage with 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗃 channeling the Epstein's attorneys, channeling Epstein's attorneys. Sources familiar with the grand jury proceedings told the Post. So the prosecutor was essentially attacking their own witness as though she was Epstein's defense attorney. 𝗙𝗫𝗟𝗧 said he wasn't surprised the grand jury didn't indict Epstein on serious sex crime charges because 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗃 had tipped her hand. As she was preparing the case, she made a startling observation. There are no victims here, he recalled the veteran sex crimes prosecutor telling him. I had a feeling she was trying to brush this case under the carpet, 𝗙𝗫𝗟𝗧 said in a deposition. For 16 and 17-year-old victims, Krisher also told the police chief it was the policy of the state attorney's office not to charge molestation-type cases or even a sex-type battery case when it was consensual. Okay, Chief Ryder testified that in a deposition too. The age of consent in Florida is 18. So because they consented to it, he was like, you know what? We're not going to charge. Dude, they bent over backwards, okay? Now, the bulk of Krisher's 2,800-page investigative file contains dirt Epstein's defense team gathered against the teens and even Palm Beach police. Did you hear that, guys? You see that right here? The prosecuting attorney, okay, the county DA, Barry Krisher, had a 2,800-page file on this Epstein investigation. He never once interviewed a single victim. He never once interviewed any of the family members. The bulk of his 2,800-page file was actually dirt on the victims provided by Epstein's attorney and dirt on the police who had investigated this case. The documents provided to the Post don't contain any indication the state attorney's office interviewed a single accuser. Not one interview. There are no memos or emails from Krisher to his prosecutors. There's no correspondence to or from Krisher or 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗃 or anyone involved in the case. They never even emailed about it. Instead, there are scores of copies of the teens' MySpace pages. They never even emailed about the case, what they were doing, anything. Until this summer, there was also no mention of Krischer's participation in 𝗪𝗪 efforts to craft the non-prosecution agreement that allowed Epstein to escape federal charges. 𝗪𝗪 on national TV in July said Krischer went soft on Epstein. Okay, Krischer shot back accusing 𝗪𝗪 of trying to rewrite history. The state attorney's office was not a party to those meetings or negotiations and definitely had no part in the federal non-prosecution agreement, Krischer said in his statement. But now they discovered this year that Krischer was lying. Okay, that he was the go-between between Epstein's lawyers and Alex 𝗪𝗪cie. But newly released documents obtained by the Post show Krischer helped broker the September 2007 deal, a pact that eventually led to 𝗪𝗪cie's resignation as the Secretary of Labor. Assistant U.S. Attorney Marie Villafana, who handled the negotiations for 𝗪𝗪cie at the time, sent Krischer an email warning him that Epstein was having second thoughts. Epstein wanted to plead guilty only to state charges, she said. Krischer responded that he had spoken with Epstein's attorney, Jack Goldberger. With gain time shaved off his sentence for working and other good behavior, the 18-month sentence promised to Epstein would shrink to 15, he said. Glad we could get this worked out for reasons I won't put in writing, Krischer wrote Villafana. He actually responded to that while he was working out a deal that favored Jeffrey Epstein. Krischer, the state attorney, said, glad we could get this worked out for reasons I won't put in writing. After this is resolved, I would love to buy you a cup at Starbucks and have a conversation, he said. Okay, after Krischer retired, Goldberger tried in April 2010 to get the state attorney to drop his client's probation and release him from house arrest. This dragon just keeps raising its ugly head, Assistant State Attorney Barbara Burns wrote to Krischer's successor as State Attorney Michael McAuliffe. So Epstein's lawyer wanted to get rid of Epstein's probation after all this and wanted to get him off house arrest, like right off the bat. I don't know how to convey to him anymore that I already have that his client is a registered sex offender that was fortunate to get the deal of the century, Burns wrote. McAuliffe said he wouldn't get another one. Dude, isn't that insane? Isn't that one of the most insane stories you have ever fucking seen? It's like unfucking believable, bro. Dude. Unbelievable. So that's how we got here. That all happened, right? All of that went down prior to Trump, ending Jeffrey Epstein's Mar-a-Lago membership. Okay? Isn't that crazy? Dude, it's nuts, boss. It is nuts. And it all centered around hundreds of teenage girls that were victimized in this room, okay, by Jeffrey Epstein, this room and other rooms, by Jeffrey Epstein, mostly on this couch. And the cops investigated this, put together a solid case, and the state attorney let him off. Then the cops went to the FBI. Then the federal attorney and the state attorney made a deal with Epstein's lawyers to let him off, and everybody got screwed. Isn't that insane? Dude, unfucking believable. Yeah, it's one ugly, memorable couch. Yeah, I mean, dude, I don't hate the way the couch looks. I feel bad, though, because I could love that couch if it wasn't so toxic. But holy shit, though, Barry Krischer, man, is unbelievable. Unfucking believable, guys. Unbelievable. All right, so Carville made a comment here about this that I'm intrigued by, all right, where he said the Jeffrey Epstein story is not going away. And you know, I don't love James Carville, right? But we do need more voices with his level of notoriety staying true to this. In addition to the rest of us, I want to hear what he has to say here in this little clip. Right? He's talking to 𝗙ecie𝗶𝗹𝗏𝗧.
The Epstein stuff, it doesn't take a lot to keep it going. There's questions everywhere. Can't we finally get some answers? All we get is stonewalling and prison transfers, and the House going out of session so they couldn't subpoena the records. There's so much we don't know. Why don't we get some answers out of here? Let's ask them. And then, you know, this is a giant distraction, and go back to your message. But it's kind of hard to tell people don't talk about a guy who either hung himself or was hung in a jail cell, and you had underage women all over the place, and you had a British socialite in the middle of it, and God knows everything. I mean, how do you not talk about that?
It's definitely made for TV kind of stuff.
It also comports in the reason that, and it fits on what a lot of people on the right say. There's this giant cabal of coastal elites that are harvesting these young females. You know, you got to give them credit. They were 2/3 right. There was a bunch of coastal elites, international coastal elites, who were grooming and harvesting young women. That's true. It wasn't being done in Comet Pizza.
See, what's crazy about this, guys, is it goes so much deeper even than just Epstein. Okay, because if you really look at it, whatever Epstein built in the early 90s with this thing, it came from the modeling agencies. Okay, it really does look like Jeffrey Epstein met Donald Trump through Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay, Ghislaine Maxwell was Donald Trump's good friend. Trump knew her father. Trump was involved in that scene. Okay, Jeffrey Epstein met Trump through Ghislaine Maxwell, and that put him in the world with elite models and John Casablancas, with Karen models and Jean-Luc Brunel, with Trump models. And now these modeling agencies were literally trafficking women from Europe and all over the place to New York City. Okay, they had the look of the year and all this shit. Dude, Trump models was pulling young girls, teenage girls from Eastern Europe illegally. And Karen models was having all kinds of, like, Jean-Luc Brunel was like having all sorts of questionable, you know, sex with these teen girls. The same with John Casablancas. And then so Epstein took like what he saw in that modeling world and he brought it into like his own personal space and then like outsourced it to his private island and shit. But I think he literally learned how to traffic from Donald Trump and Jean-Luc Brunel. And Jean-Luc Brunel was like a huge, like, close buddy of Epstein's as well, right? I don't think he was very close with John Casablancas, but I mean, the fact that they're all connected is so gnarly, dude. It is like gnarly. You know, this is like some gnarly, like deep-rooted shit. You know, and he did when Epstein started a modeling agency called MC2, he wanted to model it after Trump. Okay, I think he learned the ropes from Trump. I think Trump was just better at hiding it. Like Trump left no fucking trail, right? Better at hiding it, except maybe with the, you know, the Russian P tape or whatever. But we know that obviously Trump is at the stage where he's now saying this whole thing is a hoax and it's bullshit. So there's clearly something in these files that is like deadly to Trump. Okay. Otherwise, he would not be doing this hoax routine, guys. He did the hoax routine with Russia too, which we all know he coordinated with Russia, even though we couldn't prove it. But we know it. But I do want to go back to the Epstein deposition because, guys, one of the smoking guns, okay, is this right here, guys. Hold on. We're going to look at a couple clips of Epstein and the fucking his deposition about Trump because I think this is important. That was 𝗙ecie𝗶𝗹𝗏. Yeah, that Carville was talking to. I want to find one that doesn't have music. Okay, it's this one. You ready? So watch this, guys. This is Epstein's deposition in 2010. Okay, and it's specifically about him and Donald Trump.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
Have you ever had a personal...
Ha! That's interesting. He won't answer the question, right? Oh, Lord.
relationship with Donald Trump?
Dude, I love the way this guy says Trump.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Oh,
Though I'd like to answer that question,
Dude.
at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
Have you
yeah.
ever had a-
Interesting, huh? That little head shake. Dude, guilty AF, bro. Like, Lord have mercy. The guilt level is out fucking rageous with this clown, dude. Isn't that nuts? Dude, that deposition is chilling. Now, here's another one, though, guys, because there's a deposition here where they ask him about Virginia Giuffre, okay? Now, Virginia Giuffre was originally Virginia Roberts. She was the towel girl at the spa at Mar-a-Lago. Her father was a maintenance man at Mar-a-Lago. She is the young girl that at 16 got snagged from Mar-a-Lago to be one of Jeffrey Epstein's girls. Ghislaine Maxwell snagged her. But watch what he says about her.
Do you know Virginia Roberts?
So she's, again, who?
Virginia Roberts.
Can you spell it?
Common spelling. Virginia, like the state.
Can you spell it for me, please?
Roberts.
How's it, what's the last name? How's it spelled?
Dude,
R-O-
can you spell it? It's like Roberts. Yeah, I can spell it DUMBFUCK. Right? Oh, can you spell it? Can you spell it?
Roberts, I believe. Do you
Dude,
know?
That's how he responds. Okay? That's how he responds. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that crazy? That's how he responds. All right? Now, what do we have here? Dude, I know this world is rough. He knows who she is, dude. She was at the island. She was like deeply intertwined. All right, so 7 years after Virginia Giuffre was trafficked from Mar-a-Lago, Jeffrey Epstein, 15 months after being indicted, while out on bail, told the New York Post that he was recently invited to an event at Mar-a-Lago. Trump is lying and trying to hide something. Okay, this is crazy. So after he got out, right, out on bail, after being arrested, he was invited to Mar-a-Lago. Over the past month, Donald Trump has repeatedly said he kicked Jeffrey Epstein from Mar-a-Lago after people complained to him he was stealing his people from the spa and referred them to Virginia Giuffre. Giuffre worked at the spa in Mar-a-Lago in the summer of 2000, the age of 17, when she was approached by Ghislaine Maxwell, who trafficked her to Jeffrey Epstein. On October 15th, 2007, the New York Post, page 6, wrote about Jeffrey Epstein and quoted a Mar-a-Lago source saying Epstein had been using the spa to recruit girls. But one of them, an 18-year-old masseuse, he tried to get her to do things, and her father found out and went absolutely apeshit. That's when Epstein was not allowed back. So this is a story in the New York Post back in 2007. Now, we've heard about the real estate deal that went back. We've heard that Trump talking about stealing from Mar-a-Lago. Stealing, I hate using that term. But something here does track. If Virginia Giuffre got pulled from Mar-a-Lago and her dad found out about it, he worked there. Okay, at the end of the article, Epstein laughs off the ban and claims that he was recently invited there. Today's article from the Daily Beast, which conducted its own investigative report, linked to the New York Post article. Sarah Blasky, a Miami Herald investigative reporter who co-wrote The Grifters Club, a book co-authored by a team of Miami Herald journalists who reviewed a membership list of Mar-a-Lago, confirms Epstein was kicked off the rolls in October 2007 and banned from the club. But he explains the reason. Trump kicked Epstein out after Epstein harassed the daughter of a member. The way this person described it, such an act could irreparably harm the Trump brand, leaving Donald no choice but to remove Epstein. Summary, in Trump's best defense, Jeffrey Epstein still had exclusive membership at the Mar-a-Lago club while out on bail until October of 2007. But despite that, Epstein publicly laughed it off and claimed he had been invited there.
You said that Jeffrey Epstein stole people from Mar-a-Lago. At the time, did you know why he was taking those young women, including Virginia?
No, I didn't know. I mean, I would figure it was ABC fake news that would ask that question, one of the worst. But no, I don't know really why. But I said, if he's taking anybody from Mar-a-Lago, he's hiring or whatever he's doing. I didn't like it, and we threw him out. We said we don't want him, at the place. This is a story that's been known for many years, as you know. You're talking about many years ago, but yeah, he took people, and because he took people, I said, don't do it anymore. They work for me. And he took, beyond that, he took some others. And once he did that, that was the end of him. I didn't like, when they steal people, I don't like it.
One of those stolen persons.
When they steal people, I don't like it. He's not concerned about the girls being trafficked. He's concerned about the stealing. Dude, this guy is so guilty, guys. He is so guilty. He is so dirtily guilty. Like, we need to bring this motherfucker down, bro. We need to bring him down.
Does that include Virginia Giuffre?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah. He stole her. Yeah.
What did they do?
In the spa.
Jobs in the spa.
Yeah, it's people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa, hired by him. In other words, gone. And other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told him, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine, and then not too long after that, he did it again, and I said, out of here.
What does this say? This says, meanwhile, the Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach last night confirmed a website report that Epstein has been banned there. He would use the spa to try to procure girls, but one of them, a masseuse about 18 years old, she wasn't 18. He tried to get her to do things, a source told us. Her father found out about it and went absolutely apeshit. Epstein's not allowed back. So that was Virginia Giuffre, right? Epstein denies he is banned from Mar-a-Lago and says, in fact, he was recently invited to an event there. All right? Dude, this shit is so crazy. Every road, guys, this is the thing about it. Every single road through Epstein, through Epstein's crimes, through Epstein's businesses, through Epstein's illegal activity, every single road comes back and goes through Donald Trump. 100%. There is no road that doesn't include him there. Now, we got to look at what Virginia Giuffre's family has said, okay? All right? Because they are livid, as you might imagine, okay? They are livid. Dude, uh-oh. FBI whistleblower exposes where Trump is in the Epstein files. Dude, look at Alex Jones, dude. Dude, do we want to look at Alex Jones? Oh my God, I don't think I can watch that, dude. I can't do it. I can't bring myself to do it. It's 15 minutes long, man. Right? I don't want to invest 15 minutes into Alex Jones. We'll put that on the fucking we'll put that on hold, right? But here's what we said. You ready? This was 2 days ago, okay? And this is Virginia Roberts Giuffre's family issuing a statement to MSNBC, all right, about Vice President Vance's meeting that he's supposed to have on the Epstein files, okay? We understand that Vice President J.D. Vance will hold a strategy session this evening at his residence with administration officials. Missing from the group is, of course, any survivor of the vicious crimes of convicted perjurer and sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Their voices must be heard above all. We also call upon the House subcommittee to invite survivors to testify. Dude, I'm a big fan of the survivors testifying. As Virginia Roberts Giuffre's siblings, we offer to represent her in her stead, and we hope the administration takes our call to action seriously. Any information that may be released by the government should take into account the survivors who wish to remain anonymous. Of course, for their safety and well-being, they should be consulted first. We reiterate that Ghislaine Maxwell should have remained in a maximum security prison and does not deserve the luxuries currently afforded her. Now, let's look at the Giuffre family. I want to find, let me see if I can find the tweet. I think I bookmarked it. Yeah, dude, the survivors should be the centerpiece of this whole, situation, right? But, okay, here it is. This is Virginia Giuffre's brother who slams Trump for calling the Epstein issue a hoax, okay? Right? Because we saw this. This was just the other day. Let me go ahead and pull out the clip. Dude, we got to watch the Nancy Mace clip too. Dude, let me do a quick goal as well. We're going to do a goal for dance party. 1 hour goal for a dance party. There we go. Get that going. There we go. $2 or more. Get us the fucking dance party. Okay. So we are going to see the clip. This was just the other day, right here. Okay. Where he says, right? He's asked about Epstein. This was yesterday. Or 2 days ago. Or yesterday.
Hosting a gathering this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation.
Is he working on what?
Is he hosting some kind of gathering of top advisors this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
I don't know. I could ask you that question.
Hold on. I want to do it without the dude. Grant, let's go, baby. Kicking us off. I want to do it. I had to fix the audio. Here we go.
The two Kevins. Very good.
Mr. President, is Vice President Vance hosting a gathering this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
Is he working on what?
Is he hosting some kind of gathering of top advisors this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
I don't know. I could ask you that question. I don't know of it, but I think here's the man right here.
I saw a reporter today, and it's completely fake news. We're not meeting to talk about the Epstein situation, and I think the reporter who reported it needs to get better sources.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country. And that's just a way of trying to divert attention to something that's total bullshit. Okay?
Dude, so there he says it's total bullshit.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country. And that's just a way of trying to divert attention to something that's total bullshit. Okay?
The whole thing is a hoax, right? The whole thing is a hoax put out there by Democrats to ruin his perfect, 6 months, right? All right, now we have the 𝗙ecie family who, as you might imagine, is not happy about this.
Right? A victim. The victims here are real people, women who suffered extraordinarily over their life. Your sister lost her life this spring. So what do you say to someone, it's the president in this case, who calls all this a hoax?
It's not a hoax. I think it's pretty clear that these survivors are not hoax. These are people, and it hurts. It's they're still healing. They had something taken from them that they can never get back. And I think it's time that we take something from these powerful men that they can never get back, which is freedom. And so by calling it a hoax is a complete disgrace to everything that my sister has worked for, everything these survivors have worked for and continue to fight for. And I hope it gives them the space, and I hope it actually pisses them off, to be honest with you, enough to continue to fight and to continue to come forward. Because I can tell you here in a hoax, I think we need to be very careful with how we say things and treat this with compassion. And that feels very uncompassionate coming from somebody that's the leader of our country.
Yeah, dude, it's so dismissive, right? Can you imagine, hundreds of women sexually abused and this guy, just because he's all over the case, he wants to call it a hoax, pretend this thing, it's all bullshit, he says. Really? Man, I'm telling you, I don't know, man. Maybe the victims are going to get pissed by this and going to fucking come forward, You know what I'm saying? I mean, I can absolutely see the victims fucking coming forward and getting really fucking pissed by this. Okay? So Annie Farmer, an Epstein survivor who testified against Ghislaine Maxwell, revealed on CNN that she wrote a letter with her concerns to AG Blanche and received no response. Neither she nor other survivors have heard a word from the DOJ. Let's see if we can find that bit. Hold on. Let's see. See if we can find that. I want to find that clip. Annie Farmer, you may remember, so just a refresh in case you're not well versed on this. So Annie Farmer was the younger sister of Maria Farmer. Maria Farmer is the woman who first met Trump in that dark office when she went to Epstein's office and Trump was leering at her, and Epstein came out and said, no, she's not for you. And he took Trump into the back room, and Maria Farmer called the FBI in 1996 to report Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump because of that incident in Epstein's office, and because they took her 16-year-old sister, Annie Farmer, to New Mexico, telling her they were going to pay for her college. She gets to New Mexico thinking there's going to be a whole bunch of young girls that they're paying for college. It was just her. And Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein molested her 16-year-old sister. And that's when she called the FBI on Trump and Epstein. But she specifically mentioned Trump back in 1996. Okay, she called him again in 2006. So, I mean, this thing cuts deep, bro. It's so bad, dude. It's so bad. Let's see if we have the video. Okay, here she is. Here she is. This is also about it being a hoax. All right, this is Annie Farmer. I believe this is Jennifer Freeman. It looks like who is Maria and Annie's attorney. Okay, that's who I think the woman in the red is, I'm pretty sure.
Annie, I mean, one comment that we heard from the president.
Now, this is Annie Farmer. This is the girl who was sexually abused by Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein in New Mexico on his ranch.
Annie, I mean, one comment that we heard from the president yesterday was, this is being pushed by the Democrats, that it's a hoax, that it's BS. As someone who lived it and experienced it and is a survivor, I wonder what you make of that.
it's offensive. This is not a hoax. You know, there have been so many people that have come forward and shared their stories. I hate that it has been politicized the way it has, because I think we lose sight of the bigger picture in that. And you know, I think this is really about people using their power to harm others, and that is not a political issue. I think people on both sides care about the safety of children, and I really hope that that Trump understands that a message is being sent beyond just the individuals involved in this case to the wider community about how we, you know, about the seriousness of these types of crimes.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Dude, yeah, I mean, it's just got to be hard. She seems pretty restrained. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear the end of that.
And shared their stories. I hate that it has been politicized the way it has, because I think we lose sight of the bigger picture in that. And you know, I think this is really about people using their power to harm others, and that is not a political issue. I think people on both sides care about the safety of children, and I really hope that that Trump understands that a message is being sent beyond just the individuals involved in this case to the wider community about how we, you know, about the seriousness of these types of crimes.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's one of the things that really is fucking. I don't know what that fucking person is doing, but I'm gonna send them packing. They weren't making any sense. But I mean, what's wild about this is just the general society we live in. You know what I mean? I mean, think about, not only are we just fighting to even have any justice like committed in this case, right? But we have like a serial sexual abuser who is the president of the United States, and he put other sexual abusers, RFK Jr., Pete Hegseth, Brett Kavanaugh, into his cabinet and Supreme Court positions. You know what I'm saying? It's like our entire society is like, you know what? Serial sexual abusers get the most power in the entire fucking country. That's the country we live in. Sorry, women. Sorry you've been abused. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, what the fuck, dude? Yeah, Lawrence Taylor is now on the like, you know, the president's committee or whatever. Let's see what we got here. Here's more with Annie Farmer.
Feels like that campaign is not working. People recognize that she's a predator, not a victim. And I think that any additional lessening or of sentence or negotiation will really be met with a lot of outrage and seen as a sign of some guilt.
If the president's not ruling it out, a pardon, and he just emphasizes that he has the ability to do so, I wonder what you would want to say to him about even considering that.
Yeah, I just would want him to know it would be devastating for the victims of Epstein and Maxwell. I mean, this was the one person who was held accountable for these crimes, and she was held accountable for her crimes, not for someone else's, but for the ones that she committed. She committed. Now, mind you, there are 4 other women out there: Adriana Ross, Sarah Kellen. There's the 4 women on the non-prosecution agreement that Alex Costa and Barry Krischer brokered, which is Sarah Kellen, Leslie Groff, Adriana Ross, and Nada Marchinkova. Okay, so when he was originally arrested and Acosta let him off of all those fucking charges, these 4 women right here were on the non-prosecution agreement. So these 4 women committed the same crimes as Ghislaine Maxwell, and maybe even then some, because they were trafficking these girls to the island, but they were on that non-prosecution agreement. Okay, we featured Sarah Kellen
I plan on doing at least another show on 𝗙𝗡𝗫. She's a really intriguing one. And Adriana Ross. Adriana Ross is the girl who got rid of the computers. When they found out that Epstein was getting a search warrant for his houses, Adriana Ross and some guys came in and they took out all of Epstein's computers. So this shit is like these women have some keys to this case as well. And now I realize that there was this non-prosecution agreement made by Alex Acosta, but I feel like that thing needs to get voided, dude. I feel like everybody connected to this, whether it's these women and the men, I think like all of it needs to come out, except the victims. You know what I'm saying? The victims, right? They can't void it. There has to be a way to fucking void it, bro. There has to be a way, right? It's like, you know, where there's a will, there's a way, right? I say we find a fucking way. You know what I mean? Or, you know, something needs to be done, dude. This is fucking bullshit, right? You know what I'm saying? We need to scoop all these motherfuckers up. All of them, dude. You know, I'm just so sick of this shit, boss. I am so sick of this shit, dude.
And I think there's many other ways for him to move forward with this that would actually be indicative of, you know, him not being involved, that would not involve her, right? Releasing more information as people are clamoring for. I think anything that involves her participation would be seen as a sign of guilt.
Dude, shit is crazy. Would break the justice system? I don't care. The justice system's already broken, dude. The justice system is already broken. Fuck it. Fuck it. Let's break it. All right? We're going to break the whole shit. Dude, with the FBI involved and him not getting raided, dude, yeah, this stuff was just so crazy. And here's what Annie Farmer says. She says Ghislaine Maxwell didn't just procure girls for Epstein, but she herself participated in the abuse. Dude, let's go, Ballbad. Break it, baby. I think that's an important thing for people to understand. She also made threats to our family. So to be told that suddenly she's being brought to the table as a potential source of information when she's previously charged with perjury by the government is very confusing and unsettling. You know what I mean? Very confusing and unsettling. And indeed, dude. And again, this is the guy who met with Ghislaine Maxwell, Donald Trump's personal attorney. All right, baby. Let's go. All right, dude, and that's all we have, though, on Trump and Epstein today. All right, now, while I know it's crazy, and we're going to keep going deep. We're going to keep going deep, dude. I'm going to make videos about all of it. I feel like I'm just putting the right energy out there. But now we need to take a little bit of comedic relief, though, guys. And, yeah, go ahead and hit that like button. But we need to take a bit of comedic relief because we got to look at Nancy Mace. Okay? Because the funniest thing happened today with Nancy Mace, guys. Oh, so you know that Nancy Mace is running for governor, okay? Let me find the Nancy Mace a little bit about her running for governor, okay? Let me find a snippet here, okay? The party of law and order, my ass. But she announced it. She's running for governor. So Nancy Mace is doing it, and so is Marsha Blackburn. Okay? Okay? These two women are both riding the Trump train, and they're trying to sort of ride Trump's coattails by we'll do anything you want. We'll play all the culture wars, and they're trying to ride it into governorships. Okay? But we have to look at this fucking video. But first, I want to find, this is what Nancy is known for, of course, is is her entire MO has become about the genital check. Dude, I got to save this image. All right. So this is her whole thing, dude. She has become the culture warrior. She goes around the country taking pictures with bathroom signs wherever she goes. Yes, she's very creepy. We've heard some rumors that she's strung out on Ozempic. I mean, she's definitely changed, man. In the last 2 years, she has changed, but you got to see what happened to her. So first off, she did her little man ass thing, okay, where here's one of the first things she did. She announced her run for governor, and she said this. You ready? Watch this.
We did that. South Carolina did that. MAGA did that. And just like I stopped a sanctuary sheriff in South Carolina, you know who else I stopped? I stopped George Stephanopoulos on ABC News. Did you see that? Crazy George Stephanopoulos. He tried to say the president was a rapist. And he
is a rapist, and they would have won that lawsuit because the judge on the case said Trump was a rapist. He just didn't get charged with rape because the New York law doesn't define rape by anything but a penis. Okay, but he committed digital rape. In most states, Trump would have been charged with rape, but New York's law says it's got to be a penis only. Think about that, though, guys. There are laws where you can insert your fingers or an object into a woman and sexually abuse her, and you can't be charged with rape. What the fuck is going on with our world? But anyway, he would have won that lawsuit, and ABC only did that to curry favor with Trump. But guys, it gets worse. You ready?
say the president was a rapist, and he's not. He's never been convicted of rape. And I, as a rape survivor, went to bat for the president over and over and over again because I know, just like we have in Horry County, we got real men in Horry County. Got real men, and y'all are packing heat, and we appreciate it, but real men protect women. And Donald Trump has protected women from day one.
Dude, she actually says that with a straight face. Donald Trump, the grab him by the pussy guy, the guy who insults every female reporter, the guy who in his first term, his own aides would not leave him alone with young women because he was so gross and objectifying them that they never left him alone with the young interns. The guy who is civilly charged with rape, okay, sexual abuse, 26 credible rape accusations, the Epstein situation, and she says Donald Trump has protected women from day one. Unfucking believable, bro. And he hasn't been convicted of rape, she said. Oh, all right.
Day one. And so in that interview that I did in New York with George Stephanopoulos, and I don't mind doing it. I'll go into the Lion's Den. Bill Maher just called me the other day, asked us to come on the show, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to go into every Lion's Den because we need people to hear the MAGA message, the independent voice that Donald Trump is, that he's going to save our country. But
dude, isn't that crazy? But now, you ready? Now, she is terrible. Okay, she is terrible. But I got to share this with you guys, though. Let's go ahead and show her. I know Bill Maher is not tough, dude. If she wants tough, go on Mehdi Hasan, right? But I got to show you this clip because first off, we saw that. Okay, here's Trump, right, with a 15-year-old girl. What are you looking at there, Trumpy? Right? We know Trump is not a woman protector. By the way, guys, Trump has committed adultery with every woman he's ever been with. He sexually, right? He cheated on every woman. He's never protected women, not even remotely. Okay, but watch this, dude. All right, there's her with her man ass. I mean, we need to genital check her, dude, because that's not a woman's ass, boss. All right? You know what I'm saying? Oh, there's Trump being gross with some young girl, dude. Get your hands off the girl there, Trumpy. Whoa, dude. That is some man ass right there. Dude, I'm packing more heat than Nancy. But you ready? You ready for the real thing, dude? Watch this, though. Okay? Because now that she's running for governor, she is getting asked a lot of questions by reporters. And watch what happens when this reporter fact checks her on the money that was delivered to her South Carolina district. Because a big thing about Nancy Mace has been to, she like heralds the money that shows up in South Carolina 1, which is her congressional district. But the problem is she voted against that money. And then she goes out and touts it as an accomplishment. And watch this reporter ask her about this. You ready? Oh, this is great. Watch this.
I noticed up there one of the accomplishments, things you were touting was the I-526 interchange.
Mm-hmm. What was the exit at Long Point Road?
Yes.
Not the interchange, but yeah.
But that funding came from the Inflation Reduction Act, which you voted against.
Right.
Is that an accomplishment? Is that something you can tout?
No, absolutely. I mean, absolutely I can tout that. And you're a raging Democrat, so raging leftist with that kind of questioning. And I would say as a woman, like you might want to think about how you view other women and how you treat other women, the way that you question them, because women are going to lead this country off the brink, and conservative women. The first female president of this country is going to be a conservative woman, not some liberal like you.
Okay, again, just a question about the bill, whether you voted for it or not, and what you were touting.
Dude, you see that? She's like, is it fair for you to tout it? The money for that interchange came from the Inflation Reduction Act that you voted against. Is it fair for you to tout that as one of your accomplishments? And then she fucking goes ape shit. Like, first off, yeah, it is fair, but then you're a raging Democrat. You're a raging leftist for asking those questions. How dare you, as a woman, you should think about asking those questions. And a conservative woman's going to be president, not you, you raging liberal. Dude, what the fuck, bro? Oh, my God. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, she does. She cosplays as like an SA victim and a feminist. Dude, maybe she said she's on the Lion's Den. Maybe I'll try and get her on here. Maybe I'll try and get her in here. You'll leave South Carolina if she becomes governor? Yeah, I don't think she has a chance at becoming governor. However, guys, I mean, after Trump got reelected this time, I don't give anybody the benefit. You know, I thought there was no fucking way that guy's going to win, right? J6, all the fucking Epstein stuff. You know what I mean? The constant stream of lies about the election. People still voted for him. So, I mean, the fact that people seem to prioritize their hate for transgender people and immigrants over like objective reality and having a decent life, like they literally will burn their own fucking house down to have somebody hate on transgender people and immigrants. So I don't know, man. I mean, I don't think she's going to win, though, because if you look at the fucking South Carolina governor, there are quite a few. I think Marsha Blackburn in Tennessee probably has a better chance. But if we look at South Carolina, right, we have Pamela Yvette, okay? She is the lieutenant governor. You have State Senator Josh Kimball. You have Nancy Mace. You have Ralph Norman, okay? He's a U.S. rep among this guy. I think Ralph Norman is probably going to win it, okay? I really think, like, he is, like, super conservative, right? Super conservative. And from a very big, like, section of, you know, a very, like, the middle kind of most populous. Like, Nancy Mace, she's from a wealthy beachfront district, you know? So you never know. I mean, you never know. But I really think Ralph Norman will probably fucking take that if he doesn't drop out, right? But, yeah. Dude. Right? I mean, because she ran for Senate and didn't win. Now she's definitely more popular now, but like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Dude, you're right. There is a lot of tinfoil hat. See, the thing that bothers me about South Carolina, here's what bothers me about South Carolina, guys, is you look at Nancy Mace and she will gaslight us and she like is nothing but like a showboat. And all she ever talks about is like transgender issues and shit like that and being anti-trans. But the reality of South Carolina is this, guys. South Carolina, the white population in South Carolina, 9% poverty. The Hispanic population in South Carolina, 22% poverty. The black population in South Carolina, 23% poverty. So, like, South Carolina has a real problem keeping a huge black and Hispanic population in the state in poverty, okay? It is like one of the more racially divided by economics states in the entire union. And they're like, it's really brutal. They don't address any of that shit. You know what I'm saying? They don't address it. But this clip, man.
I noticed up there one of the accomplishments, things you were touting was the I-526 interchange.
Mm-hmm. What was the exit at Long Point Road?
Yes.
Not the interchange, but yeah.
But that funding came from the Inflation Reduction Act, which you voted against.
Right.
Is that an accomplishment then? Is that something you can tout?
No, absolutely. I mean, absolutely I can tout that.
See, absolutely I can tout that, but why can you tout that? You voted against it. You had nothing to do with that. You actively tried to prevent that money from getting to your state. You're a despicable, lying piece of trash, okay?
And you're a raging Democrat, so raging leftist with that kind of questioning. And I would say as a woman, like, you might want to think about how you view other women and how you treat other women, the way that you question them, because women are going to lead this country off the brink, and conservative women. The first female president of this country is going to be a conservative woman, not some liberal like you.
Not some liberal like you. Yeah, she thinks she's going to be president, dude. Dude, she is like, her ego, bro, is like off the charts, dude. You know what I'm saying? Her ego is so, I mean, you see the size of her ego? Like, she is just, thinks she is like gonna be president. You know what I mean? Like, she's gonna ride this MAGA hate train. Bro, she is such a fucking degenerate bitch. You know what I mean? And I don't use that word lightly. I take that word across gender lines. But my God, dude, Delulu, like, just unbelievable, man. Unfucking believable. Yeah. Crazy. She is absolutely Delulu. Delulu. Oh, shit, bro. Dude, let's go. Oh, shit, dude. Oh, look at Greg Abbott, dude. Greg Abbott, the FBI's looking for those people. I got to hear this. I got to hear this clip.
Here's what we're doing. One is we have arrest warrants out for all of them. If there are some...
Dude, first off, dude, check your link. Okay. All right, I will. All right, we'll look at that. First off, look at this guy. Dude, how not straight is Greg Abbott? Like, there's no way this guy is straight, dude. I'm not buying it. I am not buying this thing. There's no way that he is straight, dude. Hot Wheels? I'm not buying it, dude. I don't think he's straight, bro. I think him and Jim Jordan and Lindsey Graham are like baby oil and fucking, dance music, bro. I'm telling you, dude.
Here's what we're doing. One is we have arrest warrants out for all of them. if there are some in Texas, which I understand that there may be, the Texas Department of Public Safety is searching for them, will find them, and will arrest them and take them to the Texas Capitol. Those who are out of state think that they are beyond the reach of Texas law enforcement, and that they may or may not be. But for one,
They definitely are.
They're not going to go to their cozy home. They will be arrested and taken to the Capitol.
Yeah, no one cares. They haven't broken any laws. So they can get their arrest warrants and do all this shit, but breaking quorum is not against the law, dude. These guys are fucking clowns.
But know this. It's my understanding that the FBI is going to search for these derelict Texas House members.
Yeah, again, the FBI can't do shit either. Nobody, even if the FBI and the Texas police saw them in Chicago on the street, there's nothing they can do, right? Like J.B. Pritzker said, they won't be taking anyone home. I know these fascist motherfuckers, they think because they have the power to get arrest warrants, they can sit there and threaten and, oh, yeah. But like, dude, they can't do shit. They haven't broken any laws. There's no fucking jurisdiction for these people. It is all just a jerk off, double junk. Oh, Janky, rub my prostate. Right? Oh, Trumpy, come here. Oh, Trumpy!
In whatever state they may be in, and help identify for them and maybe work with us to bring them back. Point one. Point two is these Democrats, they have received money and benefits at their request to support them while they are gone. It is a direct violation of the Texas Constitution as well as Texas bribery laws for them to receive a benefit to skip a vote. They could be charged with second-degree felony.
Dude, they're not receiving a benefit. And like, dude, I mean, he's trying to blow some shit, but he acts like these Democrats, who are all lawyers, by the way, like they walked out of there and broke quorum and didn't fucking look at the law. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, dude, they went and met with Gavin Newsom. They went and they've been going around the country talking to top legal people all over the country, okay? While planning this. Like, you know, these guys are like 10 steps behind, bro. That's what they are. Dude, they're so, you know what I mean? Arrest everybody. They want to see Democrats in handcuffs like so bad. They are just dying to see Democrats in handcuffs. That's what they want. And it's not going to happen. Fuck off, Hot Wheels.
For committing bribery in the state of Texas. Third, and it happened yesterday, I filed a petition in the Texas Supreme Court that begins the removal process of these absconding Democrat members. And the Supreme Court responded immediately last night and told the leading Democrat in this cause, his name is Gene Wu, that he has to respond to my petition by Friday.
Yeah, he has to respond. Oh, great. He can fucking send a letter back saying, you know what? You guys don't have any authority to remove us. We're not breaking the law. Thanks for petitioning. If you want to come give me a hand job, come to fucking Chicago and I'll meet you there. We can go take in a theater show while I explain to you how you guys can't do shit. Come on in. We'll go watch a play. We'll go watch fucking, I hear that, dude, the play with fucking Atticus Finch and Boo Radley in it. What the fuck play is that, dude? To Kill a Mockingbird is. We'll go catch it. To Kill a Mockingbird at the theater in Chicago.
Where we're going to begin the process of trying to remove these absconding Democrats from office.
Yeah. Good luck with that, there, fucknuts. Good luck with that. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Dude, let's go. Now they're trying to redo. They want to do a new census,
here's
which
what
they're
we're
not
doing.
going to get
One-
to. Dude, they're trying to fucking cheat so hard now. They're trying to rig maps. They're trying to do a new census in the middle of the decade. Like, bro, it's like right out in the open, though. And you know what's fucked up about this, though, guys? is if their people, if the Republicans that vote for these motherfuckers are okay with this behavior, we have to steamroll them. No more Mr. Nice Guy, because clearly they don't even care about the law anymore. Okay? They don't care about the law. There may well be a war, but that's okay. You want a war, MAGA? I'm ready to go to war, dude. We're just going to cut off their funding and fuck them, dude. Dude, if the blue states would just have to cut off the flow of money and the fucking red states would be done, bro. They're piss poor. They don't have the money, dude. All we have to do is cut off the money and they're fucked. Dude, it would take one hurricane season, bro, and Florida would be done. All their money would be gone, right? Just all we have to do is cut off the funds one fucking hurricane season, bro. And they're done. Dude, I mean, Trump owns the government, so he's got all the U.S. debt. All the blue states could just bounce out with no debt from the U.S. government. And all of the fucking, can you imagine the world, how happy they would be to start trading with the blue states of America to just sink Donald Trump? Like the whole world would have our back. They would boycott the red state America. They wouldn't do business with them. They would jack up tariffs for them. We would just rat fuck those guys so badly. It would be, I mean, they have no idea. The whole world hates them. The whole fucking world hates them, bro. You know? All right, let's watch this clip now. This is Marsha Blackburn. All right, here we go. So here we go. Senator Blackburn, should the Epstein files be released to the public is the question. Okay? Marsha Blackburn, who wants to be our governor, ducks questions about files she once pretended to care about for 2 full minutes as her stooges physically blocked the questioner. So she wants to be governor of Tennessee, but she won't answer questions. Now, bear in mind, let's find a clip of her talking about the release of the Epstein files, because she was a big advocate for it.
Should the Epstein files be released to the public? Senator, why are you standing in front of me? Senator Blackburn, should the Epstein files be released to the public? Your guy is pushing me, and I know a lot of your constituents. Senator, should the Epstein files be released to the public? Do you believe what President Trump is saying, that Obama and Biden are the responsible parties for the Epstein files? Why are you pushing me? That is so rude. My pastor is really good friends with you, Senator Blackburn, so I'd appreciate it if you would answer for Americans the truth. Should the Epstein files be released? Senator Blackburn? A lot of your constituents know the kind of journalism that I do, and they want to know the truth about the Epstein files. Have you ever seen any of them? Senator Blackburn, have you ever seen any of the Epstein files? Or are you going to stand with President Trump and not want them to be released to the public? What do you think?
Oh,
Senator
dude.
Blackburn?
Dude.
So he's pushing me.
Who is this reporter?
So I'm a very independent journalist, but I'm also a mother. And American Patriots want the Epstein files released. How do you feel about that, Senator Blackburn? And that's how really rude senators behave. That is so completely disrespectful and rude. And this is how mainstream media acts. They just sit there.
Wow. Dude, yeah.
Okay, Senator Blackburn, I'm going to release this footage because you've been so rude today and not answering any questions, and I'm a mom just like you're a mom. A lot of my viewers, why are you pushing me and harassing me? You're willing to do this for money? You don't believe in First Amendment free press? Well, I mean, dude, what is wrong with you, seriously? So you're gonna push me and shove me because you get paid by U.S. taxpayer dollars. Look at this, you won't even let me walk? Dude, that's illegal. She's not even here anymore. She's gone. Yeah, so yeah, people like you are a huge mess. What a problem.
Dude, who is this reporter? Oh my God, this reporter is like my new favorite reporter. Dude, I want to see who she is. Her pastor. She said her pastor is friends with you. All right, let's see if we can find out who that reporter is. I need to follow her. Yeah, no, she was aggressive. This tweet has the reporter's name. All right. It is 𝗙𝗪𝗏. Okay. 𝗙𝗪𝗏. Let's go. I'm gonna have to do some research. She's not coming up on Twitter, which is like hard to believe, right? No, Patriot Takes is a left-wing thing, right? Oh, there she is. Okay. Is that her? No. No, that's not her. I don't think that's a reporter. All right, we'll find her. Oh, independent journalist. Okay, so I found her Instagram. Followed her on Instagram. All right. She's an independent journalist. I'm going to check out her website and shit later on. Dude, gutsy. All right. Yeah, you assume it's right wing? Yeah, no, I know. It's like, I mean, it makes sense. Dude, yeah, Vance raising the water level so they can go kayaking. I mean, it's just another example of these guys abusing power, right? You know, that's the whole thing with like the Vance news that he's talking about. So Vance went like kayaking and he had the Army Corps of Engineers raise the water level on this stream or whatever so he could have a good kayaking trip. But the whole point of that is it's abuse of power. Right? These guys will use their governmental power to just for their personal fucking whims. You know what I mean? And that's what they do. Oh my God, that's the only thing he's ever made wetter. That this is true. And fucking 𝗙sze would probably testify to that. Yeah, they literally had him, he's raising the water level. I mean, I'm not really gonna cover it because it's fucking, you know, but I'll put a link to it if you want to read about it. But so, right? He had the water level of an Ohio River raised for his family boating trip. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Oh, yes. Thank you. Let's find that. Find this fucking... Okay, here's her on the Epstein files. This is in March. Okay?
So... For me, this is not about the celebrity, and I know that there are many people that want to see who all flew on his planes and guested at his Caribbean island, but let's break these human trafficking rings apart. Let's get these people apprehended. Let's get them prosecuted. Let's get them jailed. Let's put an end to this and save lives. What we have learned is that there were people that had relationships with Jeffrey Epstein and then decided to move away from that or disavow that relationship after he was jailed. I think that's the kind of thing that you're always going to see that happen. I do find it very interesting that the French human trafficker and then Epstein both died in jail while they were awaiting trial.
That was Jean-Luc Brunel, was also a suicide. But really interesting how back on March 1st, boy, April, May, June, July, August, that's like 5 months ago. She really had a different tune back then. She's like, we're going to break up this ring. We're going to prosecute these guys. Nothing personal. No, like allegiance to anyone. We are getting these guys, putting them in jail. Going to protect the people, right?
And this just again speaks to the curiosity that people have and the concern that this was much larger than just flights to an island or something, that this was a part of a global human trafficking and sex trafficking ring. Getting to the answer of the question of, is there more there? This is the reason for getting that little black book, because Ghislaine Maxwell maintained the relationships, is what we understand. And she maintained control of the little black book. Our understanding is that that information is held by the FBI, and we look forward to being able to see who those relationships were with.
Boy, they look forward to seeing who those relationships are. And then fast forward to August. This was in March. In May, 2 months after this, Trump found out just how much of him was in the files. And then they said, we don't have any files. This case is closed. Now the thing blows up. Now today, she's running away from a reporter, won't even ask if she believes they should be released. She's having her flunky like try to manhandle the female reporter, right? Boy, how the tune has changed. So there is something in there that is a real threat to these people, because Mike Johnson adjourned Congress early so they could avoid subpoenaing this shit and avoid voting on this. But the Democrats are not going to let this go. I'm telling you that right now. And I believe some of the victims are not going to let this go. This is not going away, guys. Okay? It's not. I know Trump thinks it is. He thinks he's going to Ghislaine Maxwell this shit away, but it's not going away. And it is going to haunt. And I believe it's going to be up to us independent media and you guys, just the casual users of social media, right? And if you're doing independent media, you as well, it's going to be up to us to keep the energy of this present and going forward and keep coming back to this over and over and over again until this comes out. Because at this point, right, like if they don't release it, if they don't come forward with this, it's like their biggest broken campaign promise. You know, and I mean, these guys, 𝗙ście Patel and Dan Bongino, they made their careers about releasing this shit. Okay? But yeah, dude, this Corinne Clifford, like, she's amazing, bro. Sorry, Nancy. I could clear some of this stuff up. There it is. I got to make sure I say that. Yeah, no. Patriot Takes, though, is a research. They monitor right-wing extremism, right? They're called Patriot Takes. I don't know why I'm not following them. They're actually really good, right? This is a good one. But look at this. Back in February, right? You look at this shit. You ready? So back in February, Marsha Blackburn tweeted, "For years, my efforts to crack the Epstein trafficking ring wide open have been stonewalled by Democrats at every turn. This will change under 𝗙ście Patel. I just sent him a letter asking for the complete and unredacted Epstein files. The time for transparency is now. Holy shit, bro. Hold on. Dude. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord have mercy. All right. Dude, we got to watch the Cenk Uygur video, and then I got to go make some videos. All right. I'm not going too long, but I do want to watch Cenk Uygur. So he had Scott Adams on, okay? And can I just show you something about Scott Adams? You may know Scott Adams. He's the guy from Dilbert, okay, that was disgraced for being for some racist behavior. Okay, he was the Dilbert cartoonist. He's this guy, became a raging racist, and then he became a red pillar. But what I want to show you about Scott Adams is, in particular, in addition to his sort of racist type situation, if you want to read about his thing, right, we can go and look at his Wikipedia. All right, I'll put the link to the Wikipedia in there so you can check him out. But so he had the controversy was it was this, okay? On a live stream, he reacted to a poll that asked if respondents agreed that it's okay to be white, okay? And he described black people as a hate group, okay? And said, right? And then he said the best advice I would give to white people is to get the hell away from black people. Just get the fuck away. So he has made some extraordinarily racist comments. And this shit went like wildfire with him. Everything sort of got shut down, as it should, dude. I mean, he's pretty outrageous. But then he became, of course, a red pillar, okay? He became a huge red pillar and became this sort of like MAGA voice. But one of the things that I want to illustrate to you guys is how ridiculous. That was in 2023. That was in 2023. So that was 2 years ago, okay? But then he became a MAGA, okay? He became a big MAGA guy, okay? Now, I want to show you some of his old tweets, though, okay? Because you got to see, right, about how this guy is. Let me just take you back, because you got to see how outrageous these guys are, okay, with some of their takes, okay? Because this guy was way back in the 2020 election. He was doing a lot of fear mongering about Joe Biden. But I want to show you one of his tweets in particular, okay, about 2020. Because it's pretty funny, guys. Let me go back. Let me see here. Hold on. Let me find it here. There's a great tweet that kind of shows you how these people are. And in particular with him, hold on, give me 1 sec. I got to find this tweet. Oh, here it is. I found it. Okay, you ready? Oh, okay. That's what it was. I couldn't remember the language. I'll be able to search it from him now. So let me go back to his page. This is great, dude. Because What he said was, he said here, look at this. This is July 1st of 2020. He said, if Biden is elected, there's a good chance you will be dead within the year. This is what he sent out to his huge following on Twitter. If Biden is elected, you will be dead within a year. Republicans will be hunted. That's what he was, right? This is what we're talking about with these guys. Now, the irony, of course, is Republicans are literally like hunting people. They're hunting Democrats. They're hunting fucking immigrants. They're hunting trans people. It's a ginormous projection. But this is the guy, though, okay, that back in 2020, he was like fear-mongering. If Trump doesn't win, right, you're going to be hunted. You're going to be dead. They're going to kill us all. Now, of course, dude, this shit is like just so over the top, like hyperbole beyond hyperbole. But it does give you it gives you a frame of mind for the type of like just ridiculous over fear-mongering that these guys do, okay? That their whole belief system is based on this outrageous over fear-mongering, like, man, like, you know what I'm saying? You gotta elect the fascist rapist dude. If you don't, you're gonna be dead, right? They're just so over the top. But all right, let's watch this link with fucking Cenk Uygur. And because now Cenk is having this guy on. Okay, Cenk Uygur has chosen to have this guy on TYT, bro.
I don't know how.
Which is like, all I can say is why? Why would Cenk Uygur have a guy who is like that MAGA, that red pill? Now he's having him on to talk about his cancer diagnosis. He's having him on to curry sympathy and goodwill towards this guy, this racist guy who was fear-mongering that, man, if Biden gets elected, you're going to be dead, okay? You're going to be dead, okay? Watch the beginning, and at 3140, okay, so we'll watch the beginning, and then we'll have the 3140. But, dude, this is crazy, okay? This is crazy. Again, it's the Progressive News Network. Cenk Uygur. Oh, we got to help those racists. We got to make MAGA palatable. Dude. All right, here we go. You ready? Let's get into it.
How long it lasts. You know, I believe the testosterone blockers, first of all, I didn't know that that would remove my pain.
Wait, oh my God. Hold the phones. Did he just say testosterone blockers? Do we have a non-trans person using hormone blockers? Wait a second. I thought hormone blockers were like persona non grata. But wait a second. Why can the cisgendered guy use hormone blockers? What? Wait, whoa. And they're good now. They're helping him. Why the fuck does the cisgender guy get to use hormone blockers? Is 𝗙ecie𝗶𝗶 gonna jump out with a baseball bat and take it to homie's knees? Dude, we're 5 seconds in, bro, and they're already destroying themselves. Oh, Lord. Dude, what? Crazy, isn't it, huh? That why the hormone blockers are okay now for MAGA. Hormone blockers for thee, but not for me, huh? All right, MAGA. Dude.
I don't know how long it lasts. You know, I believe the testosterone blockers, first of all, I didn't know that that would remove my pain. I thought that would just give me more time. But you know, it might be 2 or 3 years, could be 6 months. But at some point, the testosterone blockers stop working. So that's well understood. And at that point, there's either another cure, if I can find one, which would be a miracle, or we get back to where I was earlier this year, which is, maybe I have to pick a time to check out. But the fact that I got this new set of drugs that work right before I was making my plans.
Yeah, I mean, should we take his hormone blockers away, right? Because they're bad, right?
Deceased 2 weeks ago.
All right, now we are about to have a very interesting conversation. Scott Adams is the creator of 𝗙ص𝗹𝗹𝗀. He's also been charged with racism. We're going to talk about that a little bit. He's
been charged with racism. Charged with racism. The fuck does that mean, bro? Charged with racism. No, Cenk Uygur, he said some extraordinarily racist things. He was charged with racism. Dude, what in the actual fuck, bro? Dude, I mean, racists greasing the wheels for other racists. Dude, what the hell, bro?
There's a show called Real Coffee with Scott Adams. He's on the right in so many issues on the right wing.
And again, the Progressive News Network is featuring this guy, this deeply racist guy who apparently gets to use hormone blockers against, his entire MAGA belief system, because hormone blockers were like the devil's work, right? But this is who the progressives are featuring. Not Franny, not Sam Cedar, not a progressive voice like Jasmine Crockett or the Texas Democrats that are fighting fascism. No, they decide to have on the racist Dilbert guy, and so we can feel bad for him having cancer, which...
and he's dying. So lots to tackle there. But what we're gonna do, guys, is we're gonna have an open and honest conversation. And we're gonna try to find out about one another.
Yeah. We won't do this for any of the left-wing people. The left-wing people, Jenks, we're gonna trigger them. We're gonna fucking tell them off, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna, the left-wing people, we're gonna battle, and we're gonna fucking, tell them to fuck off, and I'm glad they're triggered. But the right-wing people, we're gonna get to know one another. The racists, come on over. Racists, we're gonna get to know one another. We're gonna like kumbaya, maybe have a little Epstein moment on the pink couch together.
Try to learn, okay? So let's do that to the best of our abilities. Scott, welcome to the show.
All right, we're gonna fucking skip this. We're gonna go see what he says about trans people here at the 7-minute mark, and then we're gonna jump to the 30-minute mark, and then I'm gonna go make some videos.
Hard to say that I'm the same person I was 2 months ago.
Super interesting.
Because I don't want to hear about his cancer. I don't care about his cancer. Cancer is tragic. My mom died of cancer, okay? But she wasn't a racist. She wasn't a transphobe, okay? She wasn't somebody who fucking, fear-mongered about how we're all going to be dead if Joe Biden wins the election. So no offense, bro. I don't want to hear about his cancer shit. I don't fucking care, man.
I mean, I have to say, like, does that make you empathize at all?
I'm the same person I was 2 months ago.
Super interesting. I mean, I have to say, like, does that make you empathize at all with people who transition their gender?
Yes. Yes. I'll tell you what it feels like. Before it happens, before I did the testosterone blockers, I had this option, months ago. I could have done it. I just didn't know it'd be this effective. But the reason I resisted is that, to me, that was dying. So in other words, if you take me and you remove my testosterone, I'm not me anymore.
Yeah, this harkens back to that discussion we had about manhood, right? Right? This concept of like, but he took hormone blockers and it helped him live longer, right? And like hormone blockers help trans people live longer. They help them have quality lives. They help them fucking have existences not filled with pain and fucking trauma, right? And like, but he's like, oh, shit, man. Dude, are you having an awakening enough to go out there and change your tune online instead of being a douche right up until the end?
I'm basically dead. And of course, nobody wants to be dead, and nobody wants to remove their sex drive. Because it's just so basic to everything you think about and plan and do. But what happens is the moment it's gone, you don't miss it. Nobody tells you that part either. So as soon as you don't have interest in the whole mating, part of life, you don't really miss it. So I wake up and I think, oh, what do I have to do today? Work is fun. My conversation with you, I was looking forward to. So you just find other interests. Food tastes better. Sitting in the sun outdoors feels really good.
Yeah, maybe you should call your MAGA bitches off, the trans people, and let them have their existence too. And Cenk Uygur, maybe you and Anna, you and our favorite birthing person should get your shit together. You know what I mean?
So there's still plenty of pleasure, but you wouldn't know it until you're actually in that situation.
Interesting. So, I mean, does that make you empathize with people when they say, oh no, yeah, doing hormone blockers can make a big change in your life, and it is not the end of the world. Leads you to a different life where you could be perfectly happy.
Well, I would agree with the big picture thing, which is if you change your hormonal condition, you're really a different person. I was wondering what it would do to my aggressiveness, because historically I have a little problem with that.
Well, we're going to get to that.
I can be a little more aggressive than is good for me or the world, and I'm way more mellow now.
Dude, maybe all men need to take a little hormone blockers. Maybe the world would be a better place if we all fucking tapped in a little bit and right, blocked a little of that test. Maybe it would be good for the world, dude. Wars would end.
Intellect, the same assets, the same life.
Yeah, but he's not really going to reflect on the right. He's not going to reflect on the transgender existence, but he seems like he's a little bit flirting with the idea of.
But I just don't feel like I need to beat somebody up every 5 minutes.
That's interesting. Do you think it changed your politics at all, or no?
Not yet, because there's also an aspect where you've built in all these habits. So there are a lot of habits I have, which, for example, I would naturally push back if somebody tried to push me, but it wouldn't be coming from my chemistry. It would be coming from my habits. Just who am I? I'm a person who pushes back.
Yeah, so his habit is to be MAGA. MAGA's his habit. But yeah, no, I know he's not talking about trans people. He's talking about himself, right? Of course he is. But all right, let's go. Where was it? 3140 or something, where he asked him about the racist statements. Hold on one sec. I got to look at something real quick. All right. 3140. All right.
And they are convinced, oh, whoa, that pinky did twitch. This is kind of cool. And then they want to go with it. So there's no point in which they think, oh no, I've given up my free will and this evil hypnotist has control of my body. That never happens. They just have an experience that they either like or they don't. And they're either compatible with the process or less compatible. And they can get all kinds of good results if they're compatible with it.
Super interesting. Okay, so let's get to one of our disagreements. So far in our conversation, we've agreed a lot. You seem perfectly reasonable. Then I read a quote like this from you, and I got to go, what in the world? So you said back in the day, I don't want to have anything to do with them, referring to black
2 years
people.
ago.
You can correct me if I'm wrong. And I would say, based on the current way things are going, the best advice I would give to white people is to get the hell away from black people. Just get the F away, because there's no fixing this. Now that sounds terrible. So help me understand, why did you say that? What do you mean by it? Is it accurate, etc.?
Can I ask you a question first about how you received that? What did you think the context was? Because the context always gets removed.
Yeah, no, I don't know the context. That's why I'm asking you.
So the context, okay, the context was this, before he goes into it. Okay, the context was he did a live stream of his Real Coffee with Scott Adams. Okay, and there was a poll that asked if respondents agreed it's okay to be white. Okay, now, okay to be white is a phrase that the white supremacist movement uses a lot. Okay, so the poll said 26% of black respondents disagreed with the statement and 21% were not sure. Okay, so nearly half of the black people responding were not sure if it's okay to be white. Okay, and now, can you blame them? Right? With the racism, the nonstop racism, the attacks, the lynchings, the enslavement, right? I mean, we have a long history here in America of like white people just doing nothing but negativity to black people. But this was a poll that was basically showing black people distrusting white people, black people not being sure if it's okay to be white. So it's touching, but the poll itself is using a phrase that is like a white supremacist phrase, okay? You know what I mean? So I don't know where this poll came from, and it's possible this poll was something that was like done by a white supremacist group, all right? Which we know, White Boy Summer, we know there's a lot of white supremacist shit going on in America now. This is only 2 years ago. But the fact that he called black people a hate group, and then he, went on to say this nasty shit about white people should just stay away from black people is pretty wild, okay? And, I think it's pretty interesting, though, for Cenk to even be sort of copping this whole, like, wow, I'm really offended by this, because just a couple days ago, we watched Shanky Uyghur over here on Jubilee literally lecturing a black woman about the abuses of DEI, which is, to me, is like in the same zip code as what fucking Scott Adams said. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. All right, but here we go.
Yeah, I'm not being unfair. That's why I wanted to know what you meant. But
the reason that got canceled is if you take that out of context, the way you just explained it, it sounds really bad.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny, Scott Adams, is when we know the context, it doesn't sound any less bad, right? But all right, let's hear him contextualize it. Give us the context here, buddy.
If you put it in
Is
context.
there a good context for it? Yeah, help me out here. Go ahead.
Yeah, there actually is.
Oh, there is.
In fact, nobody's disagreed with me yet once they've heard the context. So let me give you some context. It was during the height of the DEI, ESG, CRT, in which people in schools and...
Dude, this is 2 years ago, by the way, 2023, the height of DEI, the height of the Republican battle against DEI and CRT.
Corporations and in the media were being trained that the problem with the world was people like me, white men, basically, and that we had, in one way or another, our forefathers or us had stolen things from black Americans in particular, and
They were being trained to believe this. Like, bro, I'm ready to take a 9-iron right now, dude. Cancer or no, dude?
Americans should be trying to get it back. Now, our fathers or us had stolen things from black Americans in particular, and black Americans should be trying to get it back. Now, if you find yourself ever in a situation where there's a large population of people who think you're the problem, that's not an ideal situation for you to be around. You're not really going to be able to fix it because, it's not like you can have a personal conversation with every person.
Dude, he literally just described the plight of the black man, by the way, didn't he? Right? Like, oh shit, dude, yeah, poor white guy.
So I had kind of been fed up at that point, and I had a lifetime of frustration with this. Just take you back a few decades.
a lifetime of frustration, the poor white guy.
First job was for a bank in the 80s. And I was sort of on the fast track. You know, I was working on my MBA, had a degree in economics. I was a perfect banker. And one day my boss called me into her office and she said, I don't know how to tell you this, but I know you were looking forward to this promotion, but I was told by management I can't give you a promotion now or ever because you're a white man and we don't have enough diversity.
Oh my God, dude. And instead of, I mean, it's probably bullshit, right? But even if it was true, like that's it, like first off, it's total bullshit, right? But even if it was true, really? They told him, we need diversity. We can't, you're never going to be a banker. Dude, it's like that Seinfeld episode. I just wanted to be a banker. But even if it was true, like really, like that's it. You couldn't be happy that like, okay, I don't get to be a banker, but at least I'm helping to do something about like racism in this country. And I'm helping flip the script on the karma of America, right? You know what I mean? Like if they told me tomorrow that like, dude, I'm sorry, but you can't be a political YouTuber because no more white guy political YouTubers. You got to go do something else. But we're elevating a bunch of black political YouTubers. I mean, I'd be bummed, but I'd also feel like, well, I'm fucking helping the world out. But yeah, so this one bank said we can't promote you. I was in line for the promotion. I was going to be a great banker. But then they said you can't be a banker because of diversity.
And so I said, well, how long is that going to last? And there was no answer. It looked like it could last forever.
Oh my God. And I didn't get a job at another bank.
So I quit, went to the phone company.
All right.
And I got in the fast track for management at the phone company.
Oh, and the phone company told him no white guys either. Oh my God, dude.
Local phone company, Pacific Bell. And things were looking great.
The fast track.
I was in what they called the binder, which means it was a list of people that they had identified as likely senior management someday. You can make a lot of money as a senior management at a phone company.
Dude, first off, all I can say is in the 80s, I did work some corporate jobs and everybody in senior management was white. All right? Like everybody, dude. We didn't even start a diversity push really in America until I feel like late 90s, early 2000s. Right? Maybe even early to like closer to 2010. You know what I'm saying? Like in the 80s, bro, this guy is so full of shit.
And so things were looking good. And one day my boss called me in and he said, and I'm not making this up, this really happened. He said, I don't know how to tell you this, but management just sent down the word that you can't be promoted because you're a white male.
Oh my God, you white male. You can't be promoted twice. Dude, both at the phone company and at the bank. You can't be a banker. You can't be a phoner. Dude. Oh, shit. Look at his face, though. Dude, I'm sorry, boss. Scott Adams, you're a fucking racist, bro. Like, you're a fucking clown, dude. I'm not making this up. They called me in and said, we can never promote you to be a banker. You can never be a banker because you're a white man. Dude, that would probably be the fucking, I know he's making it up. Dude, this is so fucking phony.
Now that's when I started doing Dilbert on the side.
Oh.
That eventually allowed me to escape the corporate world and go out on my own.
Yeah, but so if you couldn't be a banker and you couldn't be a fucking phoner and then you went out and became a world famous cartoonist, so they did you a favor. Diversity fucking saved your ass, bro. You would have been just a lowly banker or some phone executive pushing buttons. You literally only succeeded because of diversity, you dumb bitch. God damn, bro. Dude, I know he's full of shit, but this guy is a fucking 9-iron, bro. Yeah, I know how many black people worked in that bank, dude. Oh. Dude, I think I just fucking 9-ironed his testosterone blockers right out of his dumb ass. Dude, if Cenk doesn't push back on this, like, dude, I can't wait to see Cenk Uygur's response, bro.
So keep in mind that I had experienced what it's like to be in a situation where you're a white guy and the environment says, you're the problem, white guy.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that must have been like nearly as horrific as the enslavement or the burning of Tulsa or the KKK and the lynchings, because you couldn't be a banker. Like, you really, dude, I want to fucking pound sand up this guy's ass. Bro, I know this never happened. Dude. Oh, shit, bro.
You're the problem. Now, could I stay and fix all of that? If I had stayed at the bank, could I have fixed that? No. If I had stayed at the phone company, could I have fixed that? I mean, just for myself? No. The only thing I could do was leave. And then I was watching it get worse and worse until, almost everybody who was a white male was discovering the same problem.
Dude, I'm a white male that also had jobs in the 80s, and I've never had this issue, guys. That's weird. I had a banking job, Security Pacific. I worked in marketing at UCLA. Okay. I was a bookkeeper for a small business, right? I mean, I worked in corporate restaurants. I've had plenty of white friends in law firms and in corporate jobs. I have a white friend who right now is the chief operating officer of a subsidiary of eBay. Okay. He is a college roommate of mine who worked his way up through corporations big times in San Francisco. He just built a house in San Jose. All right. I've not seen a lot of this problem. All right. I have to admit, I know some guys that have gone way up the corporate ladder. I'm starting to think that it was probably had something to do with him. Either that or he fucking scribbled this on a cocktail napkin after stuffing a couple peyote buttons up his ass. And somehow he started believing that this actually happened, where they called him in and said, we can never promote you because you're a white guy. Okay, I quit. He goes and gets in the binder. He's on the fast track. Oh, Scott, come here, fast track, buddy. We got to tell you, we can never, ever promote you because you're white. And look at the 0 black executives we have in the company, right? But still, don't let the fact that there's no black executives fool you. It's really about diversity.
And they're more willing to talk about it now. It was super widespread. But in that environment, I would say that you should look to get an environment that doesn't have you as the target. Something that says, oh, everybody's equal.
Dude, now we know why he likes MAGA so much, though.
Or that your contribution to the world is what matters. Are you useful? Are you not useful? That's the world I want to live in.
Yeah, let me just tell you, you are not useful, homie, all right?
The actual words I said were meant to be hyperbole, and they were meant to wake people up. In other words, I wanted people to say, what the hell are you saying? Yeah.
So that's what he did. Was all this happened in the 80s when he was persecuted, and he waited 40 years, guys. He waited 40 years until 2023 to warn everybody. Dude, this guy.
And get into a reasonable debate in which I could say what I just did. And then what I like to do to help people really understand it is to give them this example. Suppose you're a black family and let's say you get a promotion and you're going to move to a new town near work. You've got a choice of.
Dude, yeah, I don't even want to hear him talk about a fucking black family, but
one of the towns is known to have an active Ku Klux Klan membership that's growing. The other one doesn't. Which one is the smart one to move into? Obviously, you would stay away from the town. They had the Ku Klux Klan membership, even if it was only 2% of the town. You would be wise to say, well, I can't really.
Dude, now he's likening a DEI to the Ku Klux Klan, bro. When I've never seen any white guys get lynched by black people, right? Like, dude, what is he fucking talking about, bro?
Fix that. I'm not going to make the Klan go away in this town, but I could go to this other town. So generally speaking, I give the advice that works in a lot of situations. You have to know when to fight and when to remove yourself. Now, in the real world, could you really remove yourself from, black Americans? No. That's why it was hyperbole. There's no actual way to do that. And even if you could figure one out, it probably wouldn't work for you. But I wanted to make the point that DEI and CRT and ESG and that whole messaging that white men were the problem is unsustainable. Now, of course, I would argue that history has agreed with me, because now that stuff, at least at the federal level, is literally illegal.
Dude, that stuff is in remission because we have a fucking racist piece of shit who wheedled his way in office. But if you think this shit's going to stay illegal, it's not. They're just going to change the name, Scott Adams. You know why? Because everybody knows that diversity is good. It's good for business. It's good for creativity. It's good for harmony with the world, right? And just because you have a racist, rapist piece of shit in office who says DEI is illegal with his little executive order, it doesn't mean shit, bro. You're going to be dead and buried, bro, and nobody's going to give two shits. DEI is going to continue, and it will be called something different. And you're full of shit, and you're a fraud. And, dude, I better see Cenk Uygur fucking push back on this, bro.
And it's illegal because it's not useful. It's harmful.
Scott, yet white people have succeeded. It's not like there aren't white men who got the promotions. It's not like, oh, now every CEO since the 1980s, when you started having these issues, is now a black female or, or Asian, or et cetera, right? Right. So white men still dominate, and I'm not going in either direction. I'm not saying they shouldn't and they're terrible for being white men, and I'm certainly not saying that they should but they do, right? And so that's why something doesn't match here. I'm not saying that your stories aren't true or right. I get that you had that experience, and some others have had that experience, right? But
Millions.
Right, but can you see how from the outside, from our perspective, it seems like, but that obviously isn't the case everywhere, or maybe even in most places, because still most of the CEOs and most of the management are white men, right?
Dude, he is like trying so hard to you know what I'm saying? Isn't it funny? I mean, I'll give Shanky the tiniest little bit because he's pushing back, but he's pushing back with 2 fingers. Can you imagine him being this delicate? Yes, exactly. He does not treat progressives like this, where he's gentle and well, I disagree with your take on trans rights, or I disagree with your take on how the Democrats are operating. On those things, he is yelling, screaming, pounding the table, in their face. But here he's not everybody is black. There's there are some successful white guys that aren't you, right? So what is that? I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not saying you lied or are wrong. I'm just, spitballing here, dude.
Right? I'm not saying that oh, that's a big problem, but I'm saying it's not like they couldn't make it. So what gives there?
Well, I would put it in this context, and this is advice that I often give. If I were giving advice, as I often do, by the way, to Black Americans, a lot of them come to me for advice. A lot of people do, and
a lot of Black Americans come to this racist guy who called them a hate group and say, "Hey, Mister, who called us a hate group? Can I have some advice? Dude, this is like Tucker Carlson, bro. Remember when Tucker said, dude, you remember when Tucker said fucking that black people come up and hug him all the time? Dude, they always say that. Dude, black people just fucking approach me on the street and tell me like how they ask me to solve their problems. Dude.
Some number of them are black. I always tell them the same thing. If you wanted to guarantee that you had the best shot at success, you want to do well in school. Of course, that's universally true. But then you want to go to a Fortune 500 company that has some kind of an ESG or DEI quota, because you'll go right to the top of the list.
Dude, they don't even, they always misrepresent DEI, because the point of DEI, guys, isn't just giving people of color positions. It's giving people of color interviews, okay? There are no quotas. It's about expanding the pool. So what they do is they make sure that they find, 50 qualified black applicants, 50 qualified female applicants, 50 qualified, Asian American applicants, 50 qualified gay applicants. And then when they've established the qualified people, they go and do the interviews, okay? And what they find is when they find 50 of every different group, a lot of times the white guy doesn't get it, okay? The white guy usually only got it because they'd never interviewed anybody but white guys, okay? Right? And so the reality is DEI is about making sure they find qualified people of color and marginalized groups to get interviews. And when they do that, voila, there's always a more qualified person often from those other groups. That's all it is, man. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is.
I would tell a white man, maybe you should learn to be an entrepreneur, or you should work for a small family company that doesn't care about DEI.
Yeah, or maybe if you're a white guy, you should fucking run from this fucking stool pigeon as fast as possible. You know what I'm saying? And dude, all I can say is this, guys. You ready? You ready? Let's just look right now. The experience of people of color and women in the world. There's a lot of women in government. There's women that are like fucking on the boards that run companies. There was a black man who was president. We're not perfect with representation, but right now there is more representation with women, LGBTQ, and people of color than there ever has been in the history of America. And the only reason that it is happened is because of DEI. If there was no DEI, if there was no affirmative action, everybody in every high-ranking job would still be a fucking white guy, just like it was 70 years ago. All right? And anything else is bullshit. The only reason there's so much opportunity now is because of DEI, and we're going to continue doing it. It doesn't matter what Trump says. It doesn't matter what MAGA says. We'll change the fucking name. We'll evolve it. They can eat shit. They can eat a dick. Nobody cares. Thank you, fucking Cenk for fucking being a fucking toadstool. You fucking motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. Jesus Christ. All right, you ready? I'm going to go make some videos. Hey, I can't pretend. No. I hope it never ends. It's about you. I will never be alone again. I'm immune to the things they said. My heart's unbreaking. You're radiant truth. I know that you will understand, because I finally found myself. My heart's unbreaking. You're radiant. You're radiant. Let's go. with a song from number 3 Breakdown, my band in 2003. It's called You're on Blue. I love you guys. Good night. Let's go. See you tomorrow.
Just a little nervous, you're on blue. Who knows you're on blue? When every bruise looks good on you. Tell me who knows you're on blue? When every bruise looks good on you. You found out that nobody is perfect, and you doubt that anything is worth it. Look around, the world is a circus, you're on blue. So provoking, I forgot to mention, are you joking? I need some attention, and nothing's working, so change your direction, you're on blue. Who knows you're on blue? When every bruise looks good on you. Tell me who knows you're on blue? When every bruise looks good on you. Why won't you hold my hand? Are you gonna deny this? Do the best you can. I haven't got a plan, but I'm gonna survive this. That's just who I am. When you're on blue, you keep everything inside of you. You try to play it cool. Sometimes you gotta break the rules. I don't know why you're confused. All you need is a little bit of attitude. Yeah. This is it. I'm tired of explaining. It's too late because everyone is waiting. That's great. So why are you complaining? You're on blue. If I'm unsure, will anybody notice? It's my fault because I love you on purpose. I'm insecure or just a little nervous. You're on blue. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Hey, hey. Starting to enjoy the view. I'm all about the attitude. Who knows you're